Good evening, welcome to Apex Racing TV. Welcome to Sebring International Raceway and the Euro V8 Supercars Championship. I'm Chad Drake, alongside Jordan Donald and Tom Davis. Those two guys are in the first one this season. And currently on screen, you'll see a fantastic show of the factory really. You guys are all doing essentially today parade lap. The never put racing cars have a brilliant World War II aircraft livery on them. Gordon, first broadcast tonight, obviously being a Kiwi, you're used to seeing these sorts of things knocking about. How are you feeling about this one? Are you excited for this?
Yeah, definitely. This race is going to be very exciting. First time actually watching this championship myself. I've seen a few of the Australians racing here before when they've been posting on social media, so I'm really excited, and we'll see how the racing goes.
And Tom, you've we've had experience driving these cars recently and realised how mental they are. How do you reckon it's going to be trying to get this thing around Sebring?
Exciting to say the least. I know me and Chaz have done a bit of testing around Donington ourselves in the V8 Supercar. They're a little bit handy on the rear end and under power, so I'm interested to see especially what the likes of Nicole Foggy can do, because we know how quick he is in GT.
At the moment then, we have the cars doing this parade lap. Of course, beautiful show this. It's really, really nice to see that people people do stuff like this within the in the virtual world, not just real world as well. Not the biggest of fields that we've got tonight, but at the end of the day, the racing between these guys has shown before that you don't need big fields to do that. This is the beginning of the qualifying session, however, so after this some of the guys may be peeling in to get tyres and fuel and get set up for the session. Others might just go straight on. Klusterman's usually one of the quickest guys in the championship, and as it stands at the moment, I believe he is well in the fight for the championship. We'll have to see whether he can continue that on tonight. You can see them just filtering now through the final section of the course, and it is a challenging track, this one. I mean, the straights mainly, as they're coming onto now, and the front straight used to be used as an old airfield, so they're not the smoothest bits of tarmac in the world. Do you reckon that'll unsettle them much tonight, Jord?
I definitely think it will unsettle them trying to get the power down. Definitely having bumps and everything, trying to get the power down in any car is quite a challenge. So especially in the V8, it's definitely going to be interesting to see how many people can utilize that throttle control to maximize the straight.
And we know as well, Tom, that these things aren't the easiest to get stopped on the brakes. So obviously, as they come into Sunshine Bend now, you've got to think that would pose a challenge. I mean, it's hard enough in a GT car most of the time, isn't it?
Yeah, it's hard enough in a GT, as you say, come around Sunshine Bend to not rotate the car, and we know that the brakes in these things are basically like milk bottle tops. The hardest thing for me, I think, would be coming out of Sunshine Bend and getting on the power, because you've got quite a lot of bumps on the inside and the line that most guys take, so that could upset the car quite a lot. So yeah, I'm interested to see how the guys do that with a few on board shots here.
Well, we'll certainly try and poke Samuli Kumo is on the cameras tonight. We'll have to try and poke him to get some nice onboard shots. As you can see, Klusterman then is going straight through the pit lane to go out, and he's obviously going to get onto a hot lap as soon as he can. Behind him on track, I believe that is Gary Croft, the number 28 car. A couple of Ford Falcons out there tonight. It seemed to have been the forgotten car of iRacing for a while, but you can see also Nikolai Bogatyrev is running that car as well this evening. So we've got a nice spread. It's not just a Holden fest as some people expect it to be sometimes. And then you can see Clyde White in series organizer does a fantastic job of this. It's one of the most polished series that we have on the channel. They have a lot of nice things like the little windscreen banners, of course. Anyone new to the series will need to know that the red banners are for what essentially is their pro category, and the yellow is for what is essentially the AM category. They all have different names, of course. Just have to have a look at the standings currently then. See if somebody will get them up on screen. Here we go. And well, Tom, if you want to run through them, mate.
Yeah, so topping off the leaderboard at the moment, we've got Johnny Brandon, a name well known in the sim racing world for XVR. Jamie McKnight following him, and then Tony Klusterman in third. Nicole Foggy, he'll be looking to capitalise on that fourth place and try and get up there a little bit more tonight in fourth. Rich Warmingham in fifth, and then Anthony Woodward in sixth. Nikolai Bogtarev in 7th, with Chris K. Jackson in 8th, and then Brenton O'Brien for Evolution Racing Team down in 9th. Samuel Buzzin is in 10th, Dominic Suri is in 11th, and Clyde Whiting is in 12th for NQR. Gary Croft in 13th, with Katie Rose Taranto in 14th. 15th, we've got Michael Cracknell, and then behind him, we've got Michael Frost in 16th, with Peter Bingham and Victor Morjon rounding out your top 18.
And that, of course, the KSW category, which, like I said before, is essentially the pro category. And then you've got the club standings, Jordan, if you want to run through them for us, please, mate.
First, we have Richard Warmingham on 3,060 points. Second in Anthony Woodward. Third, Clyde Whiting. Fourth, Michael Frost. Fifth, Peter Bingham. Sixth, Sergey Glaskov. Seventh, Bill Switzer. And eighth, Jose Borges.
Now, of course, sorry, go on.
Sorry if I butchered those names. Yeah, definitely.
Where we are at the moment, I mean, to be fair, where Tom and I am at the moment, it's just gone past 6 o'clock in the evening, but it's actually about 7 a.m. where Jordan is. He is out in New Zealand at the moment. Well, I say at the moment, he lives there, don't you?
Yeah.
It's not really, it's a long trip, let's just say.
Yeah, definitely. I don't plan on coming to the UK anytime soon. It's quite a way away, and
Well, it's a mess as well. You don't want to come here, don't worry. To be fair, there are some names that we saw in the standings twice there. Obviously, some of them in the club standings, some in the KSW standings. Basically, it's almost like a rookie cup, or like an AM Cup as such. So while you can obviously go for the overall standings, there is a sort of separate championship. Keeps people more interested a bit further down the grid as well, which is always nice to have in a championship like this. Not the biggest grid, as I've said earlier, but yeah, we always see good racing from these. Like I did my first broadcast on it at Road America a couple of weeks ago, and it was absolutely fantastic stuff. Hopefully more of the same tonight.
yeah, the V8 is definitely a car that produces great racing, even in the Australian series that we have. It's probably the closest racing series that you have on iRacing in terms of battling on track all the time. We obviously have the V8 Supercar Online Premier Series in Australia, and that obviously gets 80 cars every round. And when you've got 80 cars and 40 cars in splits, there's always action going on.
Yeah, we've had quite a lot of large grids before. Me and Tom used to race in the, well, we still do race in the World GT Championship, and some of the time in the earlier parts of the season, you were getting 50-car grids, weren't we, Tom? It was just a bit mental.
Yeah, it can get a little bit too much, I find, especially for a midfield sort of rear end of the grid driver like myself. You can get yourself into some tussles, but I'm sure the guys tonight will have some good racing. I mean, I think there's about 13 of them on the grid tonight, so yeah, but it'll still be some close racing. Nicole Foggy, I know he's going to be probably extremely quick, as well as Johnny Brandon and Richard Warmingham, who's in the AM class. He should also go quite well there as well.
As it stands at the moment then, it's Tony Kloosterman lighting up a lot of the sections purple for us. Johnny Brandon's gone fastest in sectors 2 and 3 currently. But yeah, Tony Kloosterman 2:02.99, just literally under a 2 minutes 3. And he's got quite a decent gap of just over 1.4 seconds on Gary Croft in second place at the moment. We see on screen at the moment Johnny Brandon, then the number 5 car that Tom just mentioned. Didn't seem to have got a clean lap in that time. So he's on to what will essentially be his first hot lap there. Bit out of shape as he goes through the left and right section there. It's really, really difficult to get this car hooked up around there because it's quite high curbs each side. So you want to be careful getting on the power because they're very soft in terms of the suspension, these cars. They do bounce around a lot. So you've got to mind what you do with it when you sort of chuck it into a corner. This hairpin's going to be an interesting place for people to try and get moves done tonight as well. Not lighting up the rears on the exit and trying to get it stopped. And then this is going to be an absolute joy to just keep your foot flat all the way down here. To be fair, you might even have to lift in a car like this as you go left through the right-left section there, into the chicane. On the brakes, you can see Johnny just putting a little bit of left lock on there just to balance the car out. Don't want to hit the curbs too hard yet again. It is always the challenge around here, a little bit of oversteer. And then on the brakes he goes into the 90-degree right-hander. There's a little dip on the inside of this corner. It can give you a sort of false sense of security that the car's going to turn in really well. And then as you get towards the exit of the corner, it seems to understeer wide. Just have to see how well he carries his speed through here. Nickel Foggy has gone up to second place with a 2:03.1. So Johnny's going to be hoping that he can get on up there with his teammate. And we'll have to keep our eyes focused on how he goes through Sunset Bend. There's obviously quite a lot of places for people to make moves on this track tonight. Jordan, where do you reckon people are going to be trying it on the most?
Definitely think if you can get a good run out of Le Mans, going into Sunset Bend is definitely a passing opportunity. Going into turn 1, where Johnny's heading now, as he just goes to P2 on a 203.033. Into turn 1, possibly into turn 3, definitely going into the hairpin and even out of the hairpin. Obviously, as the tyres start to degrade, which they do in this car quite heavily, getting traction out of the hairpin is going to be quite a challenge. So to be the man who can get the throttle down the best and get that grip could have an opportunity going into Fangio and Cunningham, or even a good crossover out of the hairpin.
There are plenty of opportunities, of course. Just having a look at the moment, track temperature as it stands, 29 degrees Celsius. So it's not the hottest that we've ever seen around this sort of circuit, Tom. But do you reckon the tyres are going to start to feel it over an 11-lap race?
Yeah, I think towards the end, I think it could cause some issues. Yeah, the problem that you have is, as well as the rough surface, as you say, it was an old airfield, so that can hurt stuff. I know from racing GTs around here, towards the end of about 10 laps, they start going off a little bit. I think with these cars, it's just about minimising the amount of you're going to light up the rears, especially coming out of the tight hairpins and stuff. And if you can keep that down to a minimum and maybe go for a bit of a higher gear, I think you can make the tyres last to the end.
We just saw Alex Mass there, going 16th overall out of the 17 cars on the grid tonight. He's put a 2 minutes 7.7 on the board. Only a couple of tenths behind Michael Frost, who's just ahead of him. As we see right now then, what I still think is one of the prettiest liveries on the grid as Sorry gets all kinds of sideways on the exit of Le Mans, down towards Sunset Bend, and he's pulling it out of the way quite extruded, just in a very obvious fashion there, that he wasn't happy with that lap. Johnny Brandon into Sunset Bend once again, hoping to go further up the order. And one nice thing to see as well, I've mentioned this before actually, is that Brandon actually going into the pits this time, avoids the cones just. But the XVR team use a mixture of the Ford and the Holden. Foggy does drive the Holden and Johnny drives the Ford, but it's amazing to see how well matched they are. So just shows you, Jordan, that the sort of homologation of this series is really tightly packed, and obviously makes for closer lap times and better racing, doesn't it?
Yeah, definitely. It's one of the biggest factors, I think, for the parity of the class at the moment in the real life class. Going through a lot of homologations as 2 new model cars have come out. It's quite a big thing for Supercars, which obviously run the series. It's important for them to have close parity. The chassis itself is a controlled chassis, so basically how it works is every car that you see, the Ford and the Holden, they're the same chassis underneath, but they've got different aero packages on top, and obviously the different panels which give them the look that they have, the different interior. And the teams can, I'm pretty sure they can work on their own suspension packages, but the suspension upright areas are all going to be the same. So the parity of the class is really, really close, and each car has its strengths and weaknesses. On iRacing, they're very, very close. You couldn't even tell them apart. You can even run the same setup.
Now, I've never jumped into the Ford, and I don't think you have either, Tom, but what we've seen in the Holden, it's, as you can see right now from Bingham, it's quite the handful, isn't it?
Yeah, it is an absolute handful of a car. I know me and you have only just started playing about with it, and we've already experienced the raw power that they have. Not really anything in the way of assist, it's all mechanical grip and such. So, yeah, it is going to be difficult for these guys, I think, to actually keep it on the road the entire time, but it should offer some really exciting racing.
You can see Miro Husky right now is just soaring away. Sorry, it's Richard Warmingham we're on board with, I apologise. He's just soaring away at the wheel there through all the left, right, all the weight transfer. It's certainly body language of the car shows it's a handful. Anyway, flinging it over the curbs then. And these things really do not hang about. I think they're around 650 brake horsepower, aren't they, Jordan? You obviously know a lot more about them than I do, but they are sort of upwards of 600 brake, aren't they?
Yeah, I think there's 650 brake horsepower, and they don't have a lot of brakes for that.
Yeah, like Tom said earlier, like milk bottle tops half the time. You put your foot on it a little bit, doesn't do anything. You put your foot on it too hard, it locks up and it spins. So you've got to be able to get that perfect balance. But yeah, as a touring car, really, when you think about touring cars and you look at, say, like the super touring days of the British Touring Car Championship, they used to have 350 horsepower, and those things were rapid. But to have another 600 on top for a touring car, Tom, is just it's just balmy, isn't it?
Yeah, and rear-wheel drive as well. As we know, most of apart from really the BMWs and some other certain cars in the BTCC and World Touring Car Championships, most of them have been front-wheel drive. As we see Alex Mas there getting big out of shape on his qualifying lap. He won't be happy with that. I think he just lost it a little bit under the brakes there. I don't know whether the rear wheel's locked, but he manages to recover from it, so good from him. But yeah, as I was saying, they are difficult cars to drive, these, so a lot of appreciation for the guys in real life and in iRacing who do take these cars out lap after lap.
Just saw behind him then as well, Sorry, getting all over the place on the exit, really pushing. I always remember him being quite sort of extravagant in the races at Laguna Seca. We'll have to see him out of Le Mans here, see if he does it again. He seems to be quite a fan of getting on the power. Not much oversteer there. Oh, was backwards there. That is the number 892 car of Katie Taranto in the wall. Just lost the rear end of that. Not quite sure what she's done with it, whether she's just sort of binned it because she wasn't happy with the lap. We'll have a look back. Seems to be just a normal lap. Oh, I'm not really sure what she's done there. I think she has just binned it because she wasn't happy with the lap or something. And there it goes backwards.
Seemed a little bit odd to drive off into the grass, eh?
Clearly not happy with how she was doing, I suppose. We've all done it, let's face it. We've all been around a lap and just gone, no, I don't want to carry on with this, and then you whack it back into the pits, because at the end of the day, if you've been on a hot lap or two, or even three in this case, it's going to have killed your tyres, so you need to get back to the pits as soon as you can anyway, and that's the one of the advantages of being in the sim racing world, I suppose. As we see Sergei Glaskov coming across the line, currently 13th. And he does not... Oh, he does improve, sorry. There's a little bit of a delay on the timing there. Yeah, it goes up to 12 with a 2:05.3. Johnny Brandon comes to the end of a lap as well now. This is Frost on screen at the moment. Beautiful livery on that car. Really multicoloured bit of kit, that. Very fancy. He seems to be a bit slow on exit there. Not sure whether he was just being careful or whether he was slowing down to sort of do it as like an outlap. But we'll soon see when he comes across the line. Looks like Griffin Gardner's not racing at the moment. We do have him on the timing screens as 17th, but he hasn't made an effort out on track yet.
I believe he's not in the server anymore.
Oh, it was in the background. That was that was one of the ECA racing cars. I think it was Samuel Boozin has just gone into the wall on his fast lap there. I think he got a bit early on the power. Just hit the end of the pit wall. As we see Johnny Brandon then in number 5 car. It is a very pretty car, that Ford Falcon. I mean, I think out of the two, visually it's my favourite, but I've always favoured the Holden in terms of driving it. What do you reckon, Joel? Which one do you prefer? Yeah, I can't hear Jordan all of a sudden. Not quite sure what's happened. As Brandon's given up on that lap. You just got a nice little insight there, actually, of just the accurate physics of iRacing. Just as Brandon came over the curb, you could see how well the suspension and the tyres and everything was working just as he went over that. Not all sims will give you that. They'd probably just morph it through the curbs or something. As Gary Croft also pulling over. The session is coming to an end. And it seems that it's going to be Tony Klusterman then on pole position from the two XVR cars of Brandon and Foggy. Alex Mas, the last car on track then. We'll see how he gets on. Currently 12th with a 2 minutes 5.3. He's only 200ths of a second ahead of Glaskov. He's done a personal best in Sector 2. And hopefully, Tom, it's a very pretty livery on that car. Hopefully we'll see him get a couple more places.
Yeah, hopefully. He seems to be going quite well, doesn't he? I mean, as he comes down now here into the right-hander, a little bit late on the brakes, but manages to collect it quite well. No sign of any slippage from the rear end as well. Then he comes up to brake quite late there. You see in between the two cones, the 3 and the 2 cones, that's where your braking point wants to be. You see the suspension working hard as he comes out of that corner there. Pushing on hard now, all the way up to coming towards the end of the lap. This is always quite a nervous point of the circuit at Sebring that I find. And you just want to dip one wheel onto the curb there. Yeah, he does so nicely, actually. He puts one wheel over the curb there, right out wide as far as iRacing will let you dare, and then back onto the power. 2 wheels onto the dirt there for Alex Mas. And now it'll just be absolute flat out towards Sunshine Corner. What a brilliant shot that is we've got here on Apex Racing TV. I'll do so myself. A gorgeous livery. Brings it in tight. Just you want to get as close to that barrier as you can and then push it out wide a little bit and then back in nice and tight. He went quite wide there. That might have cost him a little bit. Here he comes then, just a little bit over the white line to cross the start-finish, and he stays in P12, so no improvement for him there.
Yeah, I think he ended up with a 2:06.8. I think he might have just got it wrong on the brakes going into Sunshine Bend. He was just sort of flying straight on for a little bit. I'm sure that wall coming towards him might have scared him a little bit. But it does mean then that Tony Kloosterman is going to be on pole position. And to be honest, I think that's pole position for him in every single broadcast I've done of him so far. So always good to see the Canadian up there for Never Quit Racing. But XVR always up there as well. Third is Foggy and 4th is Warmingham, actually. So 3 of them that are in this race are going to be line astern. I'm sure they're going to be trying to work well together. They have always done well in the World GT Championship as well. As me and Tom have found out firsthand, those boys do not hang about. We're just waiting for the session to officially end, and then we will have the grid for you. And the first of our 2 races this evening, we have a sprint race of 11 laps, and then we also have a feature race of 22 laps, which will include a pit stop as well. We saw a lot of exciting action last time I was here with, well, it was at Laguna Seca, sorry. And the pit stops really did mix it up. Kloosterman pitted early because he had an issue with someone on the first few laps getting stuck in traffic. And then, yeah, he pitted early and it really worked well for him. So, Tom, if you wouldn't mind doing the honours, mate, and go through the grid for us.
Yeah, so Tony Kloosterman, a great lap from him, a 2:02.716, and he takes pole ahead of Jenny Brandon in the XVR Sim Racing car, and he's only 0.06 of a second behind him in the number 5. Nicole Foggy takes 3rd place, and Richard Warmingham, what a lap from him in the amateur class for XVR Green, takes 4th. Anthony Woodward behind him, and then behind him in 6th is Gary Croft. 7th with Nikolai Bogtarev in the privateer car number 555, and then Samuel Buzzin behind him in the number 8 car. Peter Bingham and Katie Taranto are 9th and 10th, with Dominic Suri and Alex Mas in 11th and 12th places. 13th, you have Sergei Glazgov in the privateer car, and then the number 13, Clyde Whiting for NQR UK. Michael Frost in 15th. Miro Hrazki in 16th, and 17th is Griffin Gardner.
Smashing stuff. Thank you, Tom. I believe we do have Jordan back with us. You there, mate?
Yeah, sorry about that, lads.
That's all good. So, lining up on the grid then, we've seen before, XVR, like I say, really quick. We've not actually got a Mr. Jamie McKnight tonight with us, who is usually one of the quicker guys in this series. So, my money, if I'm honest, is on Kloosterman, but he's going to have to do some pretty hefty defending. Now, Jord, you've not seen this series before, so I'm not really expecting you to have a favourite, but based on performance in qualifying, is there anyone that sort of takes your interest?
Well, obviously, Tony Kloosterman. He's obviously the quickest. He's raced one of my good friends, Jamie McKnight, who I'm surprised isn't here. He told me that he was going, and we've got a green flag right now. But I've got my, I'm going for one of the rookie guys in that rookie cup.
Well, round turn 1 they go then. Kloosterman leads them away, gets a really decent start. The 3 XVR cars are still together. There's not much position swapping going on further down. Although Sergei Glaskov has got 3 places gained at the moment. He's up to 10th. Back down to 11th though. Oh, that's one of the easier racing cars wide. That's the number 42 car of Dominic Suri. His teammate Boozin has gained a position up to 7th. Oh, there's one of the guest cars off. Oh, into the side of the Simability racing car. That's the NQR car, and he's also caught Alex Mas there as well. Not quite sure who that was. That was number 67. That was Peter Bingham. Sorry, the 667. So chaos already reigns, Tom, and hopefully they'll get it sorted out. But Kloosterman leads the way.
Yeah, Kloosterman had a cracking start, didn't he? He just must have got the clutch drop perfect, got the bike perfect, and got away well. But as we see behind them, Johnny Brandon and Nicole Foggy, they're going to be working together. And Klusterman doesn't seem to have the upper hand here. He's got two feisty lads behind him who are going to be fighting hard and we're working together to get through. But unfortunate for the guys at the back there, Chaz, including Alex Massey. He had quite a good qualifying, did quite well for himself and seems to be quite consistent, but now he's down in 14th.
Yeah, not quite sure who it was that went across the grass. It might have been Sergej Glaskov. I think I might have given him a bit of a commentator's curse, just had it confirmed to me here by Samulia that it was, so I'm really sorry, Sergej, it was my fault. Seems to be spreading out a little bit already, Jordan, but hopefully we'll see the battle stick together. Do you reckon that's going to be the case?
Obviously, Klusterman having the pace that he has, I don't know. It'd be interesting to see if Johnny and Nicole can actually keep up with him. But I think the first lap antics of everyone that went off, I think that kind of spread them out quite a bit more than what most of them would have liked. But it'd be interesting to see close towards the end of the race who can actually put a pass on with the tyre management that they're probably going to have to do. The better tyre management you've got, the faster you can be at the end. So we'll see how it plays out.
Taranto here with Mass in Sunshine Bend. Mass all over the place with that damage on that car. You wonder why he'd keep that going, but it probably looks a bit worse than it feels. Well, he's up to 12th place then. Taranto sticking with it down the straight, but it's going to be interesting to see whether they can get any slipstreaming done on that back straight. Actually, these cars do punch quite a hefty hole in the air. They are big old beasts, and Mass is absolutely all over the place in that thing. He must be having a whale of a time in there. Either that or he's absolutely scaring the life out of himself. But he seems to be holding his own with that damage at the moment. It's Warmingham and Woodward that are leading the club class at the moment, 4th and 5th place for XVR and Never Quit Racing. There is number 909, Richard Warmingham, in the Holden. As off in the background, that's the number 2 car. That's Boozin. Samuel Boozin loses a place to Nikolai Bogotyrev there. And I was saying, well, I've said pretty much all along, that was one of the prettiest liveries on the grid, to be fair. But yeah, he didn't do too much of a good job that there, Tom.
No, he didn't, did he? I think he just might have outbraked himself a little bit as we see the great battle between the number 957 and the number 42 easier car. They are fighting hard as Mike Frost there. He is having to fight for his life, isn't he? To keep the car behind him going. There's a great onboard shot here at Apex Racing TV. I hope you're enjoying it at home as much as we are in the commentary box. So he's really going to have to defend himself here, Chaz. I don't know what you think about when the car behind could really go for the move there.
Well, this last section's difficult to follow someone through because there really is only one line, but Sori looks really quick through there. He must have just held a nice line. But it's mainly about trying to line someone up here out of Le Mans and get onto it before Sunshine Bend. And it looks like Dominic Sori has just got it sorted there. Oh, on the exit, he's a tiny bit of contact, but Frost just ran wide over the curb, and Dominic's going to get past naturally down the straight. But Alex Mass in that very damaged car behind them is seemingly closing in, actually. He had a bit of a moment earlier, but you've got to think it might be a case of, if not when, he catches up to him, Jordan.
Yeah, that damage that he has on that right front fender, I believe it is, that's not going to be helping him going down the straights, but obviously the pace that we've seen he had in qualifying is going to be awesome for him to make his way back through, and as he goes to put on a move into turn 1. It's a bit of a tricky move, this one, because you can't really run too wide, otherwise you run the guy out of road. But he managed to get that done cleanly, and it was a great move by Alex Mass.
He's done a fine job there. He did it a lot sooner than I was expecting to know that. But behind them, there is quite a nice little group going with them. Klusterman did the fastest lap of the race last time round, by the way, at 2:02.8, so he's actually gone quicker than he did in qualifying. But behind these guys, you've got Katie Taranto, Miro Haraski, and Sergej Glaskov having a bit of a battle. You can see the two of them. I believe that's Taranto. Oh, as around, that's Gary Croft, taking one of the cones with him in the 28 car. We'll have a look at what happened and call the shots, Tom.
Yeah, so he gets on the brakes here. He's coming under a little bit of pressure, and he just gets one wheel on the... Yeah, it's the same thing as always with these cars, and I said this before the race started. If you get one wheel onto the grass or onto the curb coming out of that hairpin, 9 times out of 10, it's going to end up spinning you around. So unfortunately there for Gary Croft, he is now down into 9th place, but he seems to have got a little bit of clear air around him now.
We've got a right scrap going on here then between the two teammates, Jordan. It's not the first time that we've seen this with Foggy and Brandon. They seem to be under the mentality that you can just have a good race together and not help each other out. But they've not really lost Klusterman that much, and in the background there's another sort of inter-team battle actually going on with Warmingham and Woodward, obviously teammates of these two guys.
Yeah, the inter-team battles are always something interesting on track. I know when I'm racing, you want to have a good scrap with your teammate, but it's just, I can always end in tears because you're always trying so hard to beat your teammate. So those guys have got to be careful that they don't scrap too hard and lose close to them. As you say, they haven't lost them that much. In that last lap, they were only 5/10 off, half a second. So the scrapping probably doesn't want to start for a while. But yeah, as you say, the inter-scrap stuff can always end a little bit messy if they're trying too hard.
Yeah, we've seen that happen before with a beautiful prime example of two silver Formula One cars that I'm sure Tom would have laughed his head off at when they made contact with each other. Tom, of course, a massive Ferrari F1 fan. But currently, best of the rest is actually Nikolai Bogotyrev in it's a very simple but effective livery on that car with the white and red dots all over it. But he's the first car at the moment that isn't XVR Sim Racing or Never Quit Racing, Tom. He's got Samuel Boozin, though, closing up behind him.
Yeah, Boozin's having quite a consistent drive, isn't he? As he gets it massively sideways coming out of the hairpin. It was pretty much an all four-wheel drift there. But Samuel Boozin, he is closing up a little bit on Nikolai now. So now see what he can do is Richard Warmingham has a bit of an incident, and that is huge. So Richard Warmingham and Anthony Woodward seem to have come together. I'm sure we'll get a replay here. I'm not sure what happened. I think it might have been that Anthony Woodward might have outbraked himself into the back. As here we go there. So they were side by side. As Woodward is all over the rear of him in the NQR UK car, tries to put a move up the inside, and no, it was the XVR car that just got out of shape on the brakes, seems to have locked up the rear wheels, round it goes, and it's cost them both places there, Chaz.
Yeah, real shame that he lost it, and obviously caused quite hefty contact actually. We saw a little bit of interesting physics there for it to fling the car around, but it was good of him to actually slow down and wait though. It was nice to see him give the position back. Warmingham still leading the class, of course, ahead of his teammate Clyde Whiting. But you can see Warmingham now then, not too far behind, but he's obviously lost ground because of that. So Woodward's going to be happy that he's taken the lead of that class. And of course, that means Bogotyrev and Boozin are now ahead of those pair. And then we just mentioned how they were best of the rest. And now that's not the case, Jordan.
No, that incident was definitely helped a few and didn't help a couple. So as we see a move trying to get put on here by Alex Mass. It's a tricky one going into Sunset Bend because obviously everyone's trying to keep that tight line. So there's not a lot of room to try and put one on, and if you're the one on the outside it can end in tears. Alex is just all over the back of this Asia car.
Yeah, he's putting a good fight in so far as Mass. He seems like he's one of those drivers with quite a sort of extravagant driving style. He is really all over him, like you say, though. It reminds me of Chris Jackson, who's another guy that isn't actually here tonight, but he always caught my eye in terms of he's always got the tail wagging of that car and he's always chucking it around as hard as he can. Clyde Whiting just there ahead of these guys. This might actually bunch up a little bit because they've caught Whiting quite quickly over the last lap or so. I'm not sure whether... yeah, I've just had it confirmed as well that Clyde did have an issue. Oh, Mass just a little bit later on the brakes there than Sorry. And it goes wide, he clips the grass a little bit. Does really well to keep it under control, but he's going to come under really important pressure now from that's Gary Croft behind him in the Ford. But maybe that could be something to do with the damage, Tom, that it's not stopping as well as he wanted to.
No, he's obviously lost in downforce, isn't he? We don't know if that's done some damage to the suspension. It's had quite a heavy hit, hasn't it, on the front of the car there. So I'm unsure. He'll obviously tell us at some point what the problems were, but he can't at the moment, unfortunately. As he's right over the rear end now is Alex Mass of Suri in front of him in the Asia car. As we go through, coming down to the end of the lap here, ready for the long straight before Sunshine Corner. These guys are fighting hard, and this is a great camera shot, this, because you can really see the suspension working here. So what a brilliant race we're having here at Sebring so far, and I know I'm enjoying it. I hope you are too, guys.
Certainly is an action-packed one, but this is just more and more proof that you don't need a massive field of cars to have the decent racing. At the end of the day, you only really need two decent cars, don't you, to have a good scrap on track. But as Tom said, you can see the suspension working in these cars from that camera angle, and it does show you just how basic they are underneath, really. One big fuel cell at the back, so he really gets the tail end out of that car. That really big rear wing might not be providing that much push down to the ground, but this little scrap and the little sort of wobbles and slides they're having is meaning losing Clyde Whiting in front at the moment, George.
Yeah, well, Alex, I think, wants to try and get past Sorry here. Is he going to try and do a replica of what he did last lap into the hairpin? He obviously went in there a lot harder than Dominic did last lap, and as we've seen, he made that error and ran wide. I wonder if he's going to remember that and just start, put his nose in there going into the hairpin. But it seems he's at a bad run out of turn 5, so I don't think that move's going to be on here today at the hairpin.
No, it might be a bit difficult for him to get it stopped on the brakes. If you're just trying to go that little bit later, I know that it's just 1% too much brake pressure on these things and it'll really lock them up. Look at Mass on the exit. You'd think that thing was like a 1400 brake horsepower 1980s F1 car, the way he's dancing it around, just trying to bite at the surface. Anyway, it kind of clips the grass and it's sideways. He's going to get some style points for that surely, but it's not going to help his lap times or his position, as now that puts Gary Croft right behind him, Tom.
How on earth did he hold that? I don't know how he kept that on the road, but he seems to have done. But Galgi's got, as you say, Gary Croft all over the rear of him, and it's also bringing Taranto into play as well. So these guys are going for a three-way scrap here, and I've got to say, Taranto's car, that is a gorgeous livery on that race car there, on that Ford. So, and Alex Mass seems to have gone off there. Not sure what happened. Looked like he outbraked himself, and as we said before, Chaz, that car has been just dancing the entire time. As we get towards the replay now, I'm not really too sure what happened, but look at the steering wheel input he's having to put in just to keep this thing on the track, and it just seemed it was the rear left on the grass, and that's just sent him flying, and he's going to take it back out on track, but I don't know how damaged that car is now. As you can see, it is smoking, so I think that's going to be a retirement there for Alex Mass. A shame, but because he was having such a good race, but there's always race 2.
Yeah, he's turned it into a courser essentially now. That front end is about 3 feet shorter. It's that front right as well. It's taken an absolute beating tonight, and it's a real shame for Alex Mass's race to end that way. Surely it's going to come in. Yeah, he does indeed. But hopefully he'll be out for race 2 and giving it everything. But Johnny Brandon, then we look back towards the front. He's really caught Tony Clouston. He's left Foggy for dead, and this could really spice up with only 4 laps to go. 3 after this one, George.
Yeah, the battle for the lead is going to be on. Obviously, Johnny's been doing a great job. He's caught back up. Be interesting to see towards the end on the last lap or so what he's got to give to Tony Clouston. He might be able to do something even before that with the pace he's got at the moment. But they're very, very consistent, both of them. They're currently doing 203.3s. And Nicole actually did a 203.5 behind them. So it'll be interesting to see if she can catch up within these next 4 laps to make it a 3-way scrap for the lead.
And it's nice, of course, to see that it's not just Holdens everywhere once again. I am a fan of that Ford Falcon, to be fair. And it's good to see that Johnny's really, really getting the most out of it at the moment. Oh, really getting the most out of it. Completely sideways on the exit of Le Mans there. Surely it's going to affect his run. I think Clouston got a little bit of a slide on as well. So maybe the difference not that much. You can see in the bottom right of your screen the slipstream making a bit of a difference to the what we call our battle box in the bottom right. It does actually show a relative time between the 2 cars, so you can see if either of them close up. Brandon closing up, of course, mid-corners. Oh, off is Bingham. Really, really damaged car, actually, by the look of it at the front end. You can see the skid marks actually around the corner. It seems like he might have either clipped the curb or just got on the power too early, but it's going to be the end of his night. He already had a damaged car anyway. Car off in front of him there. That's number 23. And is he going to go? Oh, no. That's a real shame. I'm not quite sure how they managed that. That was the number 23 car, Sergei Glazkov. Not the first time tonight that he's managed to clip someone with that front right, Tom. So, shame that it ended that way, really.
Yeah, it was. They were having a good race up until that point, but unfortunate for them. So, as I said before, I think this might be the start of tyres starting to wear out a little bit. And the guys are starting to make a few little mistakes here and there. Apart from the guys at the front, your top 3 are going really well. But Sergei Glazkov, as he comes around Sunshine Bend, seems to, I don't know whether he's damaged the car too much, but it seems to be all right. As Nikolai here in the 555 car, he's keeping buzzing at bay at the moment in that easier Holden. So as they come down towards the hairpin, fighting hard, and Johnny Brandon goes up the inside then of Clouston and takes the lead. Will he get it done? No. Clouston fights back, so the Holden steps out just a whisker as they come round, and Clouston gets massively sideways. A big problem for him. Brandon's still got the run, and he's pushing hard now. He's got to get on the throttle and make sure he doesn't get too much slip from the rear of that car. These boys will be fighting hard, but it looks to me, Chaz, that Johnny Brandon's got the move done, but Klusman's going to go up the inside again, and he forces him wide. He forces him wide and retakes the lead. So some brilliant racing there. Klusman locks up as well. So these boys fighting hard now, and look at how much that car, that Holden in the front, Klusman's Holden, is just squirreling around there, just stepping out all the time. Brilliant racing here at Sebring.
That was absolutely on the edge stuff. You can see him trying to break the slipstream a little bit there from Johnny Brandon, but if anything, all he's doing is washing off speed while Brandon stays in a straight line. There's little touches of contact. Oh, Brandon's so close to the back of that Holden. He's down the inside, just doesn't get an overlap, but all this time, Foggy's closing in as well. And you've got to think, Jordan, that he's going to be rubbing his hands together trying to make most of this.
Definitely, that was, I was just thinking that, Nicole's just jumped into this one now. So obviously the scrap that happened in front slowed them up as it does, and well, you can only just look at it. They were 2 seconds a lap quicker than Nicole, or now second.
Oh, Brandon's off.
Oh yes, Johnny Brandon's gone off.
Real shame for Johnny after all that as well. Now he's completely out of it.
I wonder if he got a...
Sorry, go on.
Sorry, I was wondering if he might have... Did he get a bump there or anything? I was looking at the live timing. I didn't quite get to see that.
I was going to say I was doing the same. Really sorry for anyone watching. But he's on his own, it seems. Oh, he just gets out of shape. Just that's how easy it is to do. No matter how quick you are and how talented you are in these cars, they can bite you. And it bit him hard. It's really damaged it. You can see there. It's completely bent the front end. And the massive, sort of very basic looking engines on these things are... completely exposed now, and that's not going to help him out. He's still third ahead of Bogatyrev and Buzin, but yeah, he's completely lost all chance at a win. But it seems like that car's hurt, and yeah, Bogatyrev is going to go round him and past him here. Oh, as he's trying to, well, he nearly doesn't get it out of the way there, Tom. That could have been really sketchy into the little chicane.
Yeah, that could have cost them, couldn't it? But these guys are now carry on fighting. As that's a real shame for Johnny Brandon there. He was having such a fantastic race, but of course that has released the one and only Nicole Foggy to go and chase down your race leader Klusman at the moment. But Buzin is all over the back of Nikolai Bogatyrev. But here we go. These are your front runners then, as Nicole Foggy. It's the 2 Holden boys out in front, and Foggy knows what he's got to do now. He's lost his teammate, so he's lost his wingman, and I think this could really come down to the wire here, Chaz. Who's your money on?
I've got to say Klusman. Klusman's really, really good at defending in this car, and he will counter-attack people really well, as we saw with Johnny Brandon before. A little bit of a slide from Foggy there out of Sunset Bend. But yeah, 2 laps to go then. My money's on Klusman at the moment. He's done a really good job. You can see on the left there, these guys are 19 seconds ahead of Bogatyrev and Buzin. So even though they have had a little scrap now and then with Brandon getting involved, they're still getting away. It's just the true pace that these guys have got. And I'm sure that when we get to race 2 tonight, Jordan, with it being a longer race, they'll have plenty of time to get back to the front with it only being a smaller grid.
Yeah, well, that's just it. And having the pit stops coming into it, it opens a whole nother ballpark of what people can do in the race. Obviously, pit strategy is one thing, and on-track pace is another. I've seen people, come from the back, sitting in 20th on track, to then going up into the top 10 through a pit stop. So it'll be just a matter, as Nicole Foggy just gets a little bit sideways through the hairpin, just couldn't quite scrub off that speed enough. That's cost them a lot of time. Definitely think Klusman's got this one in the bag if nothing happens to him.
Yeah, Foggy's just really, really trying to push it and just get on with it, but it's just getting the car that little bit out of shape, and it's just not quite working for him. So hopefully he can get it together, but I don't think one more lap after this is going to be enough.
No, definitely not. I was actually it was quite interesting as we got Nikolai Bogatyrev, I think that's how you say it.
Bogatyrev.
Bogatyrev, that's the one. And Samuel Buzin on screen currently. These guys have been right behind each other, scrapping the entire race. It's been good.
Yeah, it's great to see him best of the rest at the moment, and I'm sure that they're going to be getting it a little bit more feisty on the last lap. I'm sure Buzin's going to sniff the opportunity of a podium, Tom. And well, with Bogatyrev showing pressure there, a bit of a slide and a lock-up, you've got to think that the fight might be on.
Yeah, the fight seems on, definitely, doesn't it? Buzin's going to be doing everything he can as he gets it massively sideways coming out the last corner. But he seems to have got a bit of a better run than Bogatyrev coming down towards Sunshine Corner now. So I'm not really sure what's going to happen here. I think he's a little bit too far back though. He's probably praying he wishes he had DRS in this situation. But obviously these guys don't have it. But as we can see, he's close right up to the back of Bogotyrev now as they're coming down the start-finish straight for the final time. The penultimate lap now, and he's taking the outside line. So I'm interested to see what happens into turn 1 here. This is always a tricky one to try and pass on, but it looks to be that Bogotyrev has got that covered. So they're fighting here for a podium. And if we look at their lap times, there's about a 1/10.5 in it. So these guys are really going at it here.
Yeah, it's very evenly matched at the moment. I think it's just on a lap-by-lap basis who can get it done. And as the very famous Murray Walker always says, catching up is one thing and getting past is quite another. And I'm sure that Boozy's going to have that going through his head right now. But up front, Klosterman does have a 1.4 second lead over Nickel Foggy, and he's coming into the last half a lap of this race. I'm sure that he's going to be very excited at taking yet another win in this series, which he's shown he's got such consistent pace. But we'll stick with these guys and just see how this bends, whether Bogotyrev can fend off Boozin, who seems to have lit up the rears a bit too much out of the hairpin, George, so he's lost quite a bit of ground.
Yeah, that was just it. I said at the start of the race that going into those last few laps, who can look after their tyres throughout the race is obviously going to have the advantage. And, you know, trying to get the power down out of a hairpin like that when you've got 600 horsepower in a car that doesn't, it's a little bit under-tired. You know, it's definitely a hard challenge. So throttle control is everything in this car. You want to get on the gas so urgently to try and catch the guy in front, but then you got to think about it, and being smooth on the throttle is just a lot faster.
It certainly is, but round the final corner then through Sunset Bend for the last time, he's gained a bit of a gap on Foggy behind. It's been an awesome show of defensive driving and consistency, and Tony Klosterman takes your win in the first race of the evening. Nickel Foggy crosses the line in second, and we'll divert our attention back to the battle between Bogotyrev and Boozin. It looks like Boozin's not quite close enough, but we know this final corner's tricky, so just got to see whether Bogotyrev does it. He goes defensive on the inside. Boozin locks up, trying everything he can, and Bogotyrev is going to get it done, Tom.
Yeah, he is, isn't he? A great show of performance from him there. It was a brilliant defensive drive. Boozin was just all over him, and I think if he had got in front, I think he would have pulled away. But it just goes to show how good a defensive driver Bogotyrev is. As we see, Johnny Brandon did actually make it back out. The team got the car repaired, and he's going to bring it home in 11th. So he won't be too pleased with that, considering how good his drive was and how good his qualifying was. But no, he's going to come home in 11th. So a good show there from Johnny Brandon. Not a bad run from him. Just a shame about earlier on in the race.
Yeah, it's good to see that that he went and at least got it fixed and got it back out there. Most people would be quite dejected after making a mistake like that and just call it a day. Of course, Anthony Woodward finished 5th. He was one of the only drivers to finish where he started, and he won the club class in that one from Warmingham and Whiting in the end. So Whiting did lose out the position to Warmingham, but yep, I'm sure that Woodward, especially after the incident earlier, will be happy with that. Peter Bingham is going to be one of the last cars to cross the line as he flies down the straight towards Sunset Bend, gets on the brakes, turns it in, and we'll see him riding those bumps out around that last corner. It really does unsettle the car. And as he comes across the line, it's rounding up a really first exciting race of the night, Jordan. That was good, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was really good. Unfortunate for those that made a few errors and got taken out at the start. It was probably not the plan that they wanted to go into this race with, but you know, that's just racing, and at the end of the day, it's been a good race, even though those things have...
It certainly did show, like I said, probably a million times so far on this one broadcast, that you don't need a massive field of cars, do you? It's just a couple of guys together that know how all the other drivers race, and when you get in leagues like this on iRacing as opposed to going into the official races, this is the beauty of it, that the racing is much closer because everyone knows how they are. And we do have the results now, so Tom, if you'd like to do the honours.
Yeah, so your race winner for race 1 there was Tony Klosterman, the number 121 car. He'll be very happy with that. Second place to Nicole Foggy, who just couldn't quite get it done, but I'm sure he'll be back again. Bogotyrev in 3rd, and Samuel Boozin, a great battle from there, which we've just watched. Anthony Woodward, Richard Warmingham, and Clyde Whiting, 5th, 6th, and 7th. Anthony Woodward being your club race winner there. Gary Croft in 8th, Dominic Siri in 9th, Katie Taranto in 10th, Johnny Brandon, unfortunate for him, but I'm sure he'll be back with a vengeance in race 2 in 11th, Michael Frost in 12th, Sergei Glazkov in 13th, Alex Mass, unfortunate for him, he had probably the worst race he's had in quite a while there, down in 14th. Miro Haradsky in 15th, Peter Bingham in 16th, and rounding out in 17th place was Griffin Gardner.
Smashing stuff, and I believe any second that the wonderful Samuli Kumov, who is doing a great job of the cameras tonight, will have a reverse grid wheel for us any second for the second race of the night, which will be 22 laps, including a pit stop.
Yeah, the wheels should be on your screen right now, and well, we should have a good reverse grid race. I hope so. At least a little bit fewer cars than we've seen in the previous races, but that doesn't really stop the action here. And it will be 7.
Okay, so a very, very small reverse grid for this one. Then that will put series organizer, if I can get my words out, Clyde Whiting on pole position from Warmingham and Woodward. So it's the 3 club drivers on the top 3 places in that one. I'm sure Gary Croft and Dominic Surrey will be a bit gutted to have just missed out on that, but that means, though, that obviously the likes of Tony Klusterman and Nickel Foggy are further towards the front of the field than Johnny Brandon still. And it's not going to take them long to get back through if any previous performances are to go by. So from me, Tom and Jordan and Samuli, we'll be back with you in about 10 or 15 minutes when the second race is set up. So join us back on Apex Racing TV then. Don't go away.
Team racing allows multiple iRacing members to team up and race together, just like in real-world endurance series. Teammates can share driving duties, spot for one another, or be a crew chief. Team racing is free, both to join a team and to create one. Each teammate races on his or her own computer from wherever they want to. Your teammates can be anywhere in the world, and changing drivers mid-race is as easy as a click of a button. iRacing features team endurance events ranging from just a couple of hours to 24 hours in length. So, if you fancy taking part in an iRacing endurance race in the future, you can learn more about team racing on the teams page on the member website.
My name is Stephen Corpenos. I'm a senior web developer here at iRacing, and I work on the beta UI. It's funny because iRacing has been around for 10 years, but we want to keep delivering the best possible user experience to our customers, and we've found that the old UI isn't exactly what we're trying to deliver in 2018. We want to use new features and provide the best possible experience when using the sim. One of the projects that I've been working on is some custom heat racing configuration for hosted races. We've been listening to our customers. Everyone's been asking for custom heat races. Maybe you want to tweak a few things with the preset iRacing configurations. Well, now you can using the beta UI. So once you're at the homepage of the beta UI, you just go to create a race. Then from there you go to your set race options. And you'll notice here under event types, you can actually choose heat racing. First, I'm going to show you how to create a new format from scratch. You can choose the number of entrants. And as you can see, when I made that change, the change was actually reflected on the right side in the graph. Also, you can use the estimated duration at the bottom of the graph when you're changing the length to see what the total duration of your event will be. In addition, you can customize every aspect of the session information, practice, qualifying, heat races, consolations, and of course, the final feature race. Because the beta UI allows us to develop features that are robust and complex, this feature will be exclusively available on the beta UI. Once you've made all of the changes, you can hit save. Say you forgot what you selected. You can always preview it using the preview format button. We are very excited to release the brand new heat racing configuration feature that will be available in Season 3 of iRacing.
as we are getting ready for the green flag. Sunset band is coming, and so is the green flag.
Jamie Ayres once again leaving a big gap, and he is still staying pretty much within the rules by just going a little bit wide. Gets a nice run out of that final corner. Lee Dima is relatively close, but I don't think he's going to be able to challenge him down into turn 1. No, he's a long way behind. With Cullen staying in P3 with Stephen Burke already gets him past Ronald Mees, and in fact Ronald Mees has lost another position to Chris Dane, so not a great start for him. That Ferrari power though, how strong is it down the straights? He is closing in a little bit, and maybe he can go for a lunge into this next hairpin, but I think he might think better of it. Maybe he won't do, because Chris Danes is down the inside and he's got that move done seemingly, although Burke is going to try to stay in there. Chris Danes though, Marco, brilliant start to this race from 6th to 4th already. Basically he's in a very good position, Jamie, yes, whichever way you look at it, but he will still want to get in those points. Nice and early today, and Chris Danes, after an awesome start, is round here as Sebring, and he's right to the rear of the field. Once again now, going into turn 1, there's not a whole lot the defending driver can do, because look at this, it's such a wide entry into turn 1, and Ray Cullinan will go down the inside once again, but Demon was prepared for it, and he's happy to just go round the outside. Cullinan though isn't happy to give in yet, and he might still have a chance going into turn 2. Demon can stick it round the outside there, and he'll have the inside for the King, but the outside once again for the next serious corner, and Demon has surely lost out this position, but Cullinan is a little bit tentative on the inside there, didn't carry the speed through, and he's given his Mercedes rival an invitation back, and he's also giving an invitation to Burke and Means to get involved in this one as well. Down the inside is Lee Demon once again, but Cullinan very deep on the brakes, but the exit has not worked out for him, and from attacking he is now defending. Stephen Burke is going to get his nose in there. He's going to be alongside with Cullinan into this next corner where Cullinan was so deep on the brakes last time, but Cullinan does not lose a position for now.
And in the end, the status quo remains the same, even though I think Dimmer went a little bit wide. Yes, he did, and he's in the fence. He tows back to the pits, massive front-end damage, abusing the track limits, I was saying before, not recommended, and once again, same cover as the previous lap. This time he wasn't so lucky and he went straight into the Armco barrier.
I don't really know what's going on there, but here we go. Marco was promoting the move around the outside for Ronald Moons, and can he pull it off here? He's just too wide though, he needs to stay a little bit tighter than that. He's got a nice little run though, and he might be able to go for a lunge into turn 2. But once again, Stephen Burke's there, and Max Ray sees his opportunity, and he maybe sees a position here, but there's contact between the two of them, and they're both lost out from that one. Ronald Moons carries on, and we wait to see what damage Max Ray has got, and it's terminal damage. And if he can possibly finish this race, that would keep him in line for the reverse grid, but he's going to have to stay back to the pits. And Ronald Means is watching this, hoping for a mistake from one of them. The Mercedes is bound to be a little bit faster, and in fact, Rafe Cullinan is letting his rival pass. I don't know if there's an issue for Rafe Cullinan here, Marco, but he's going very slowly all of a sudden.
Let's see, because he's changing gears
Nah,
quite
he's
early.
got fuel issue. That's why he's been so slow through the event, because he's got no fuel left. So here comes Jamie Ayres. 48 points the difference in the championship going into this race. At the end of it, it's going to be 23. Jamie Ayres one step closer to taking that championship title. Max, come on, give him a bit of a push, and there you go. This is what this series is about, and Max is going to give Rafe Cullinan a bit of a helping hand here across the line. Welcome back. I don't see a safety car, Marco. Oh dear, this is getting quite fast. Okay, I think we're going. Here we go. So, green lights are on, and Ronald Moons is away from the pole. Stephen Burke is in second position with Jamie Ayres in third already. Scott Malcolm getting past Colin Robinson. But nice start for Moons. He's got to be strong straight from the start. And here is Malcolm getting an awesome start. They're all off the circuit though.
Oh, what's going on?
And there's a three-way crash.
All the drivers were on the grass. I've never seen anything like it's like they put some oil in the first corner. Let's see the replay.
So Dimmer was lagging behind, but look, everyone went wide.
Well, I feel sorry for Ray Carmen that he was the instant passer too fair. Got away without too much instant. Back with the lead. Jamie S feels like he can get this move on the outside. This is the situation that Burke found himself in so many times in race 1, defending against one on mains. At the moment, he's being resolute in defense, but he can't cover off that inside line. And Jamie S will surely take the lead now, unless Burke can somehow find his way round the outside. He's going to try to stay level, but it's a losing course. And Jamie S takes the race lead. Berg is absolutely desperate to get this race lead straight back because he knows on pace he has got no match to Jamie S. And for now he is staying close. He's got to make this one stick. And now round this Jamie S. And he could lose 1 position. He could lose 2 positions. He's only lost the 1 position in the end.
As they enter Sunset Bend, tires are squealing, cars are jumping all over the place. And also Cullinan is coming. Robinson just a bit behind these guys.
As takes back the lead, he was leading across the line. For some reason, Stephen Burke just did not accelerate from that Sunset Bend, and Jamie S takes back the race lead here after a mistake from earlier on.
Either he makes a move on Burke, or he gets attacked by Cullinan. Oh, slow down by Moons, by Cullinan, sorry, by Burke, and Moons goes past him. Oh!
Moons to throw away a 2nd position, his 2nd podium of the day, and here it was. Just got on the curb seemingly on the outside, and Marco, if you do that lots of times, then that's kind of bound to happen eventually.
Yeah, a classic Sebring mistake.
And he'll round Sunset Bend to surely clinch the championship. He'll take the lead of the championship for the first time this season, going into the final race. And Jamie S wins here at Sebring. And of course, we should just point out, well done to Colin Robinson. He is the champion in the Murray Walker Cup. I think we might already be getting away. No safety car once again. Standing start once again. Jamie S, will it be once again for him taking away the flag? Away we go here at Sebring. Stephen Burke staying relatively close going into turn 1, but I don't think he's going to be able to mount an attack with Cullinan under a bit of pressure. Burke goes for it though, and he very nearly made it. That was really brave there from Stephen Burke. Cullinan holds on to P2 with Ronald Moons already gets him past Colin Robinson.
Right is around, I think. There's some tire squealing. Oh yeah, he's in the fence.
Wasn't going well for Max 8 before this after this bit of a slowdown. And just getting on the bumps there, I think, Marco, and that was enough.
Back to the front. Burke is in first. What happened?
Straight away had to turn out a bit just to, yeah, make sure that he didn't spin. Let's see. Yeah, that was what happened. And Michael Docker did it at Phillip Island. So 3 drivers have done it so far this season. We'll be interested to see if we get a 4th and Lee Deemer into the wall. He's shown pace today, Marco, but I just had a few too many incidents. But out to that final corner, Burke really does struggle in comparison to us, and he's not going to go defensive. Clearly feels as though the outside line is better, but Jamie Ayres is happy to take this inside line, and he might be happy to take the lead as well, as Stephen Burke runs round the outside of Jamie Ayres, and he might just be able to pull ahead. But will he have the outside line for turn 2? Yes, he will do, and he's going to have to be so quick on the outside here. This could be a brilliant defensive move if he can pull it off Stephen Burke. Ayres is still in there, but Burke hangs on, and what defensive driving that was there, Marco, from Stephen Burke to hold on to the race lead. Here comes Ronald Moons once again though. He's edging closer. That Mercedes power will help him along, and he looks to the inside, into the hairpin. Cullinan squeezes him, and he might just be able to hang on to this position. Jamie Ayres has got the move on Stephen Burke, and that's a slowdown for Steve Burke. Ah, dear.
Whilst the BMW has been replaced by the
M6,
and look at this, side by side for first place, virtually Burke and Ayres.
What has happened to Jamie Ayres? We'll have a look at that just in a second. Just looking at the pit stop times, Jamie Ayres, damn it, it doesn't go up for me. So
4.5 seconds longer stop. for F.
Ayres once again right back onto the tail of Stephen Burke, and this is where Burke struggles, just on the exit of that sunset bend, and he struggled again, and this time Jamie Ayres is going to have a brilliant opportunity. Burke doesn't like to defend too much, but he is going to defend this time, going into turn 1 here at Sebring. And Burke might just be able to hang on, but Ayres is going to try to come back, and Ayres could be off the circuit. He is off the circuit. Stephen Burke across the line to start the final lap of the season. Jamie Ayres to the outside into turn 1. Can Burke hold him off? It looks like he just about will for now, but Ayres can maybe get the cutback. Burke has got to go to the inside. He can cover off the inside, unlike so many other occasions. Ayres fancies his chances round the outside, but it's not going to happen for him unless he can just go for a dive into this one. He's running out of chances, Marque, and that was where his best chance gone. And we may only have Sunset Bend to decide who wins this final race of the season.
Just quickly, Dimmer. Oh, he's off. One mistake too many for Jamie Ayres, and he will have to be happy with P2.
But Stephen Burke leading this race. He's only going to be happy with P1. He's been given a few opportunities by Jamie Ayres today, but finally he has taken one. And Steve Burke rounds the final corner, and he wins the final race of the season in the BSR Grand Tour.
E6 I just want to say to Colin that well deserved, and I played bridesmaid yet again after finishing second last season. There's a few things I tried out tonight, just didn't quite work out.
But for now, from me, from Marque, and from Sam, we'll see you next time.
Welcome back to Apex Racing TV. Welcome back to the wonderful Sebring International Raceway. I'm Chaz Draycott with Tom Jacobs and Jordan McDonnell in the box with me tonight. Samuli Kumo is doing a brilliant job on the cameras as always. And for the second race of the evening tonight, we're looking at a bit of cooler temperatures, but obviously we've got the reverse grid. It's 22 laps with a pit stop included. And Tom, if you'd like to take us through the reversed grid.
Yeah, so Clyde Whiting is on pole in the number 13 car. Beside him is Richard Warmingham, and then beside him is Anthony Woodward. So that's going to be a good battle there, XVR and NQR. Easy Racing in 4th for Samuel Buzin. Nikolai Bogotyrev is in 5th. Nicole Foggy in 6th, so he'll be coming through the field. Tony Klusterman, your race 1 winner, is in 7th. Gary Crost in 8th. Dominic Sri is in 9th. Katie Taranto in 10th. Johnny Brand 11th. And in 12th is Michael Frost for Slow Motion Racing. In 13th is Sergei Glazkov in the privateer car. 14th is Alex Mass. He'll be looking to capitalise after his race 1 issues. And then Miro Harazzi. And we're red lights, so 5 red lights on. And we are green flag here at Sebring for race number 2. Got cut off a little bit there for the qualifying, but there we go. We are away here. Everyone seemed to get away. Klooster and Whiting didn't get the best start, did he? But he's still out in front as Richard Warmingham is in 2nd place. They all go down. There's a car around there. And he's managed to hold it. I'm not sure who that is. I can't really see.
It was Foggy.
That was Nicole Foggy, who had a little bit of a moment there. So, but he's going to be fighting through the field as he so goes up the inside. And there's a little bit. There's a saying that happening. Oh, there's a few cars round, and I'm not sure who that is on screen or who caused it.
It was Foggy went round the outside of Surrey, and Brandon went down the inside of him. Dominic was caught in the middle, and I don't think Foggy knew that it was 3 wide. And then when he was obviously on the outside, Surrey went wide on him, and Glasgow again ends up on that infield, Jordan, and another messy first lap. But once again, we see the NQR cars out at the front in a group.
Yeah, there was another messy start here at Sebring. It was so unfortunate for Nickel Foggy. He got caught up twice, I think it was, out of the exit of turn 1, and then getting spun going into turn 3. Really unfortunate start for him. But in other news, the field is a lot closer this start for this race, so it's going to make it a lot more interesting.
There's a car off on the outside there, the 265. That's Woodward. And he's managed to keep it together, but Johnny Brandon already up to 4th, and Klosterman's already up to 3rd. Brandon and Woodward side by side, then down towards the last part of the lap, and just taking advantage of that is Samuel Boozin. He's side by side with him now as Woodward got out of it to give Brandon the room. Samuel thought, I'm going to keep my foot in here and get it around the outside. It didn't work out for him, and now Bogatyrev's on the back of him as well, Tom.
Yeah, he is. So a really fierce battle here. And as we say, as Jordan said, the field is a lot closer together. I just want to see, I think I see actually, Klosterman's car does appear to have some damage on the front right, so I don't know whether that's going to affect him. As we come into the last corner here, it doesn't seem to be affecting him too much on pace as he is closing up. But if you see the front right fender, yeah, it is gone, so he has got damage on that car, and I'm interested to see, Chaz, how that does affect him here.
Yeah, it's these cars are quite often affected by stuff like that, because as Jordan was saying earlier, they are quite sort of big aerodynamic packages. It's, into turn 1 sideways there, Warmingham get it stepped out. Whiting does a 2.11.7, which really shows the obviously the difference that just the static start makes in these races. But right behind him now, Klosterman really putting the pressure on. But as we say, that big chunk missing from the front right because of the contact on the first lap. So it's going to be an interesting one. But what we've also got to think about, of course, boys, is the fact that there's pit stops in this race. Now, I'm not sure really what your opinion is on it, Jordan, but with it being a smaller field, do you reckon track position is going to be that important if you think about an earlier stop?
No, I think if you're scrapping and you're having a fight on the track, I think that's going to be probably where you're going to lose out the most. I think track position itself, being out the front, obviously you can punch out some pretty quick times as Klosterman. And even Johnny Brandon has moved up 8 spots. Both of those two are going to be pushing really, really hard to get out the front so they can finish their battle from race 1, and obviously putting out those good times so they don't get affected by the pit stop. One of the things that could be a big play, if you're not out in the lead though, is fuel saving. This car is, it's quite easy to fuel save, especially in the drag down the straight. You just lift off a little bit and you can save quite a bit of fuel. So being out front can be good, but also being in second or being behind the leading car can be even better because you can save that fuel up, have a quicker pit stop, and jump them in the pits.
Yeah, it's interesting how these strategies always overlap, but Klosterman has taken the lead from his teammate Clyde Whiting. A nice thing to note about their liveries as well, of course, being sort of homages to Royal Air Force aircraft in World War II. Clyde's actually got the roundel from the RAF on his car, and Klosterman's has actually got the maple leaf in the middle instead of the red dot, which is a nice touch there. Obviously, he is a Canadian driver, so that does make sense. Behind them, though, Brandon is really putting the pressure on now. Warmingham lost 2 places in that lap. I think he tried to just sort of make it easy for Brandon as he's all over the back of Whiting now. You can just see, Tom, just how close he is, and fastest lap of the race as well. So Brandon, after his mistake in race 1, isn't going to be hanging about.
Yeah, he's not, is he? He's got that move done, and to be honest with you, that was a little bit of race critical because you can bet your bottom dollar that Klosterman is going to disappear. Klosterman through turn 1 was really wide, so that's given Johnny Brandon the ability to close up on him there. So, Brandon gets a little bit sideways. The car being very twitchy. He doesn't want to do that too often. He'll end up killing the tyres. So, Klosterman now starting to pull out a little bit of a lead, but you can bet yourself that Johnny Brandon will be right on his tail.
And a great scrap going on behind them as well, Jordan. Obviously, that's the battle for the club series as well. Whiting, Warmingham, and Woodward leading that one with Boozin behind them as well. And Bogatyrev's even getting involved. And Gary Croft, big slide in the background coming out of the hairpin, beautiful stuff. But yeah, this scrap hopefully will stick together all the way through this race and may even carry on after the pit stop. So this is going to be a nice feisty race. Obviously, we do have 22 laps instead of 11 from the last one. It's just going to be interesting to see who makes the stops and when. But yeah, Boozin looking quite aggressive on the back of Warmingham at the moment. Sorry, Woodward at the moment. Warmingham is ahead of them. But you've got to think that the fight's going to be on between the front two, Whiting and Warmingham, in the club battle.
Yeah, the club battle's definitely going to be a good race. These guys, I think, stayed pretty close to each other in race 1. Obviously, I don't know how it works. Is the club battle, is it to do with the pace, or is it an iRating thing, or how does that?
I think it's more of, I don't know if they're just the rookies themselves or whether it is based on just a pace thing, but I know that anyone that does come into the series on like a temporary basis, or if it's their first meeting, for example, they do tend to be assigned into the club standings. But at the moment, Whiting is leading this brilliant train round what is Sunset Bend. Actually, me and Tom had a discussion after the race and realised that we'd called it Sunshine Corner, or Sunshine Bend, and every name under the sun. No pun intended. But it is Sunset Bend, so we'll make sure we get that right going forward. Apologies for that.
Can I just point out as well, Johnny Brandon's lap time is going faster than Tony Clouston at the moment. Johnny Brandon is the fastest man out there on track. If you look a little bit further down as well, Nicole Foggy is making roads at the moment. He's lapping pretty much the same times as Samuel Boozin in 6th place, and he'll have traffic to contend with. But you see the damage on Foggy's car as well, so good racing from him there. He's got traffic to contend with, but I know he can get back up there.
Yeah, he's shown by being a double world GT champion that he does not hang about at all, and I'm sure that rear end damage, to be fair, it's not like you can make the rear end of this car any looser anyway. It's not going to cause too much of an issue for him as he goes past Casey Taranto there into the hairpin, and through he goes into the top 10 now. But the battle for the lead, Jordan, really hotting up as Brandon tries to go around the outside of Klosterman, which is going to become the inside. And Klosterman's off, and well, he's not off exactly, but he's made a mistake, and Brandon's done it then. So do you reckon he's going to hold that, or do you reckon Klosterman's going to come back fighting?
I don't think Klosterman's going to let him get that one easily. I think it's going to be a bit of a battle for quite some time. That was a great move by Johnny Brandon, though, going around the outside. Klosterman obviously just couldn't quite get the power down as well as he wanted to, and got a little bit sideways on the exit, but Klosterman is not going to let this go. He is right on the back of him going through here. I'm pretty sure this is Sector 6, which is basically in the last lap. Johnny Brandon was 4 tenths quicker than Klosterman through that section of the track. So be quite interesting to see how well Klosterman can hang on. Obviously, with Brandon being quite a bit quicker, and I don't know about you, but is that Klosterman slowing down a little bit?
He got a really bad run out of Le Mans. Got a really run wide, and to be fair, he's gone wide through Sunset Bend as well. So something maybe not right with the car. Maybe the damage is affecting the turn-in, or just how he's sort of getting off the corner. And yeah, he's lost quite a bit of ground there. So you've got to think though, Johnny Brandon, if you see the lap times, look, Brandon 2:04.4, Klosterman 2:06.3. And you've got to be looking back to someone like Samuel Boozin, who I think had an issue on that lap, or was obviously stuck in a battle before anyone's gone anywhere near that sort of time. So it is affecting Klosterman seemingly. I mean, it may just be 2 little mistakes, but as I was going to say, if you're Johnny Brandon, you see that and you just think, right, time to get your head down, get on with it, and try and run away before the pit stops come into effect.
Yeah, well, that's just it. I think Tony Klosterman's probably going to have to, unless he can get back. Oh, he's run wide again. Yeah, I don't think.
He had a really big slide there, didn't he? It was locked the front right up, and I think it might have just been confirmed. I think it was a slowdown penalty actually. He might have got if he was cutting a corner, for example. Anyone that doesn't know, with iRacing, you do get what they call a slowdown penalty. So if you do take too many liberties over a corner, let's say, and cut it a little bit too much, then iRacing will give you usually about a second where you have to slow down and just sort of give back time that you've cut in the course. And behind these guys, we've got a great scrap going on still between Whiting, Warmingham, Woodward and Bogatira. If you try and say that too quickly, it's not the easiest of tongue twisters, but it's looking like it's really shaping up to be a good scrap between these club boys, Tom.
Yeah, it is, isn't it? What brilliant racing we've got here at Sebring. As I say, this is the first time I've commentated on this series, and I didn't expect this. So these boys going hard as we see Warmingham there getting massively out of shape, coming down towards the final corner. And he's coming under pressure now, looks to be from Woodward. So let's see what he does here. Woodward's got the outside line as Warmingham goes hard on the brakes. It steps out a little bit again, and Woodward's had to go out wide to try and make that move stick. And now he's got the inside line. So here we go then. coming up into turn 1. These boys side by side. I know that Warman will be looking over his shoulder and looking over to the right and thinking to himself, I don't know how I'm going to play this, because obviously, as we know, turn 1 is a bit of a tricky one to get the move done. But it does look like Woodward has given him space, which is nice to see. Actually, you see a lot of drivers in other series where they'll just push out wide, and then there'll just be a big accident. As we see, who's that? That's Bogotyrev. Where did he come from? So he's just dived it up the inside, doesn't quite get the move done, but now he's all over the back of Woodward here, Chaz. A brilliant battle here.
Yeah, they're really going for it. They know that it's going to be important to try and just sort of out-psych your opponents before the pit stops come into effect. But yeah, Bogotyrev really showing that he's in the mood for an overtake right now. He's just got to be careful of Samuel Buzin, because he's been very quick this evening. He's just made a couple of little mistakes. And to be fair, if you see the amount of lock that Bogotyrev put on there, Jordan, I wouldn't be putting that much on through a chicane, through a hairpin, sorry, knowing I've got to get on the throttle. It'd be way easy to over-rotate the thing, surely.
Yeah, the V8 is pretty unstable when you get on the throttle hard, so he did well to not do that.
Just saw a big slide in front there of Woodward as well. He just proved your point exactly. It was almost like an instant commentator's curse. But Buzin seems to have lost a little bit of time there, and there's the ever-extravagant Mass. And oh, Woodward again. Little mistake on the exit. Bogotyrev going to capitalise. They're still going to be slightly side-by-side now. They're not. He's got over it now, and yeah, Buzin may go on the attack here on Woodward, but maybe he's starting to feel the pressure a little bit, because it seems like it's just silly mistakes. He's just trying to get the power down a bit early, I think, just as Jordan was saying then. It's not the easiest of things to control with your right foot, but Alex Mass is looking quite racy as well, and just behind them you've got to remember it's Nickel Foggy, and he's going to want to gain places over the course of this race before they have to make a stop.
Yeah, Nicole Foggy is not one of the lads that I would want to see in my rearview mirror, especially going down here, as you've got one of the cars wide, and that looks to be, I don't know, it's one of the cars locked up there. We saw a puff of smoke. And who's this coming into the pits now? Foggy is in the pits. So Foggy pits from 9th place, and he obviously thinks he's getting held up by traffic, so he's pitted in now, Chaz, to try and give himself a little bit of clean air. Yeah,
as we were saying before, Buzin, really big slide out of turn 1, and Mass is going to capitalise. We were saying before that obviously, dependent on if you do get in a battle, I think it was Jordan was saying that you would think to dive in the pits if you were getting held up, and that's exactly what Foggy's done. He's not at the start that he wanted, and he doesn't want to sort of spend his time trying to pick through these boys, so he wants to get in clean air, get some fast laps on the board. We know that he's one of the quickest guys here. He's coming out of the pits already. He had just a 13.4 second pit stop, and it's quite a decent stop time actually, because I remember at Laguna Seca we were looking at any sort of pit stops north of that, but he's got 15 laps to do on tyres that we sort of had an inkling, Jordan, in the end of the first race, that they were sort of dying after about 11 laps, so he might start to struggle near the end though. That's what you've got to consider.
Yeah, well, that's just it. Obviously, being behind in that battle pack that these guys are, they're actually going to wear out their tyres a lot harder as well. You know, when you're following a car and trying to put on moves and everything, braking harder like that, it all goes into wearing down the tyre a lot quicker. So I think personally, Nickel's done a good job of actually getting out of that, because I mean, he had 4 cars ahead of him. He had to pass 4 of those cars that could have been 5 laps where he'd be going hard on the tyre, and I think what he's done is getting out of that, getting into some breathing space, being able to set some fast laps, and then you can manage your tyres from there. And who knows, he still might have some tyre left at the end, but definitely the times that he's going to be able to put out versus the times that he would have been putting out behind the battle pack, I think I think he'll jump these guys quite a bit.
As we see Mass right now having a go at Woodward, and behind them is Buzin, side by side into Sunset Bend. Mass is down the inside, Buzin's down the inside, Woodward as well. Nearly making contact. There was very close there, but Bogotyrov's not got the best of exits. I think Mass thought he was coming into the pits there, had to get out of it, and he's going to lose both places down the straight now. Real shame, but it was actually very considerate driving from Mass there, and he's obviously using his head to think that obviously Bogotyrev might go in the pits. Nearly 3 wide, there's nearly contact between Woodward and Bogotyrev. Buzin down the inside, doesn't let the car wash out. They're all wiggling all over the place, trying to avoid each other, Tom, and surely you've got to think they're going to trip over each other sooner rather than later.
Yeah, this just reminds me of Red Bull in Baku. I can see it happening again. They just keep constantly fighting, but as you see now, they have spread out a little bit, but the pressure is still on for them. But I'm so surprised they're coming into turn 1 that there wasn't any contact, so props to those guys for managing to get through there without causing any major issues to each other.
And it is good as well because in these cars it is very easy to understeer. I mean, Jordan was saying before, it's understeer into a corner, oversteer off a corner. And it's very difficult to make sure that when you are racing closely, you don't wash out wide into one another. They can be upset very easily, these things. And it's just nice, respectful racing through a lot of them. Woodward, of course, the only one in this battle that's in the club championship. The other guys are all in the overall KSW championship. But he's just showing that he can mix it with the big boys in this one, and it's nice to see that sort of spread of talent. Jordan isn't really sort of putting a dampener on things.
No, I think even, it's talent obviously being split up kind of by the club thing. It's definitely not something you would gauge someone's pace off. It's kind of like how the iRating thing works, Someone's iRating, you can't really gauge how fast they're going to be because different cars and whatnot. So he's doing a great job sitting there in sixth, and he's withstanding the pressure from those guys behind him. They're all over the back of him, and he's just putting it where he needs to go, and he's doing a great job.
Just having a quick glance at the timing screen as well. It seems Clyde Whiten and Richard Warmingham still aren't that far apart either, just ahead. Mass is going onto the grass in a straight line. Not sure that's the best tactic, but they're all just closing on each other in different ways on the brakes here. It's a great sort of show of how the different lines work. As Bogatyrov dives into the pits then, he's the first one of these to decide that needs doing. Just behind him in the background there is, I think it wasn't Croft, sorry. It's one of the KSW cars. It's someone that's lapped down, actually. It's Sergei Glaskov. He really got it sideways out the last corner as Mass is all over the back of Woodward now. He's been really quick and very exciting to watch tonight, is Alex Mass. He's really pushing that car to its limit. And surely he's going to get past Woodward soon. He just needs to be careful of boozing behind, because we've seen already from boozing a couple of occasions tonight where he's made really sort of opportunistic manoeuvres, Tom, and that's the sort of thing you need to do in these races, really, when chances don't come around often.
Yeah, it's the same as what Jordan was saying earlier. Oh, we've got a car off there, and that is the 909 of Richard Warmingham. I'm not sure what's happened there, because it looks as if the car's just come to a complete stop into a barrier. So he went up the inside of that. Yeah, he's just lost it under braking. And that's a shame for him, because he was having such a good race with Richard Warmingham. So yeah, unfortunate for him, but now he's down in 15th place. It looks like he's got out the car now. So, but back to these boys who are fighting, as we were saying, Chaz. You need to be opportunistic on the brakes with these cars. As Jordan said earlier, they're pretty much the same car underneath, and they change the body and things like that. So you could run a setup from the Ford on the Holden pretty much within the iRacing service. So it's all mostly about talent, is this series, and that's why we love it so much.
Yeah, it's really good because it keeps the racing nice and close. But like we say, there is the balance of you need to take the opportunities on the brakes, and Warmingham tried to do just that, and he showed us just how easy it is to get it wrong. And even when he's just braking in a straight line, or maybe it was even just the fact that he popped out, obviously, at the last second, just that little bit of lock when you're on the brakes, and you try it too hard on the brakes, and it will just go round on you, and there's no saving it. It's just a big hefty lump with a lot of power in it, and once it's going around, it's going around. But Boozin looking more and more sort of strategic here. He's taking a wider line into the corner to then try and get a good slingshot off. Is anyone going to go for the pits? Yeah, Boozin does go for the pits, Jordan, so he's going to try and undercut them here, but we've got to keep an eye on where Bogatyrov comes out in all this.
Yeah, well, that's just that. One of the things you just mentioned before is the line that I think it was Woodward has been taking. I noticed that on Klosterman as well. I think they're teammates. But they both go really, really wide going into Sunset Bend, and then they come out really, really narrow. And I think that's it's an interesting line, but I think it's actually quite beneficial for the tire life. Obviously trying to get a straighter exit versus trying to get drive, like turning, it makes it, you get better drive, you probably get a faster exit as well. But I don't know, they lose quite a bit of time compared to the other guys going into the corner. So tire life wise, I think it's good, but pace wise, I don't know. It's an interesting line. I noticed it in race 1. I'm noticing it again in race 2, and it's both those two cars. They keep doing the same line.
It's an interesting observation, obviously, with different drivers having different approaches. Everyone's got their own idea of what would be the quicker line. Just an interesting fact as well, Nickel Foggy has actually jumped Nikolai Bogatyrov, who was at the front of that battle. So, as we were saying, he's got into clean air, and yeah, he's going to get the job done, it seems, so far. But that depends on where the other guys come out. And Boozin is behind Bogatyrov, and it's about 2 seconds. So it's not been that much of a difference between the pair, but There he is. And you'll see Boozin come into shot just in the background. They've got Haratsky ahead of them, between them and Foggy. And I don't think, Haratsky hasn't made a stop yet, so he will drop behind them. But Boozin's got a bit more clear air now as well, because obviously he's not got the likes of Mass and Woodward in front of him. So he's going to try and get onto the back of Bogatyrev and maybe just follow him round as such. I mean, you've got to try it. And Klosterman comes into the pit lane, Tom, from second place. So this is going to be an important one to see how quickly he gets this pit stop done and whether he repairs that damage.
Yeah, I do think that the damage is affecting that car a little bit. We've seen a few as we saw him on the screens before. It's been locking up and things like that and silly mistakes. And it seems to have just let Johnny Brandon just fly away with the win at the moment. So I think Brandon's pretty much got this one locked down unless something awful happens to him. But who do we have here? So we've got Mass and Woodward who are battling quite heavily. Woodward has a little bit look up the inside, and it's like we were saying, we've got a pro driver and a club driver going at it here, Chaz, and these boys really aren't hanging about.
No, they're really pushing it hard. Mass has been all over the place all night and really making a show of it. And yeah, he's finally ahead of Woodward. He's just, you can see straight away he's just putting the gap on him. But he's one of those drivers, I think, he's pushing that car just right on the edge. He's really, really giving it everything he's got, but he seems to have it under control. I mean, he's only made the odd mistakes. Oh, off in the background there, I think that was it was Sergei Glatskov has gone off at the hairpin. He just sort of locked it up and went straight on. Back on now, of course. But yeah, that hairpin catching a few guys out tonight on the brakes. Sergei obviously having issues earlier on and having to pit for damage, as we see Frost is 16th at the moment. He had issues as well early on. I think he got caught up in the incident with Nickel Foggy. Still out there as it stands. He's on the brake, getting out of the way of Tony Klusterman, who is 8th at the moment. You can see that's the gap between him and Foggy. Foggy in the background of the shot there. So Nickel's really made up quite a lot of ground by pitting early. You can see on the track map there, he is the number 8 in your top right of the screen. And Nickel is the car that's highlighted as number 9 on track. So you can also see the big gap that Nickel's actually got on Bogatyrev and Boozin, who seem to be quite a bit closer together actually, as race leader Johnny Brandon comes into the pits then on lap number 11.
That's going to be interesting for Brandon, isn't it, to see whether he actually comes out and whether he's going to come out in traffic, whether he's timed it properly. I did notice as well, actually, Klusterman's car, he has repaired it. So Klusterman comes round and he's on the start-finish straight. I do think that Johnny Brandon will get out in front of him, but because Klusterman has repaired the car, Chaz, I think he's, he might make a little bit of time up because he was so quick in race 1.
Yeah, it's going to be a sort of long game to see whether it affects him or not. Mass has carried on. Whiting and Woodward have both come in the pits. As we see now, Brandon coming out of the pit lane. I think he's still going to have this. Klusterman just coming down the straight. You can hear him coming into turn 1. But no, Johnny Brandon maintains the race lead then. And he's going to be happy with that. He's actually got a hell of a gap on Klusterman there. There's Tony now. Obviously 4th overall, but it's essentially going to be 2nd place in the race, with Croft and Mass being 2 of the only drivers not to pit so far. But Tony's now he's got the clean car, Jordan. He's going to have to get his foot down and just see whether he can do anything about Johnny Brandon's lead.
Yeah, Johnny did a great job in the first half of this race to pull away from Tony. Obviously, Tony having that little bit of damage. But one thing we do know is Tony's fast, and when he wants to put the pedal down, he can. So I'll be quite interested to see how he goes. Obviously, I think lap traffic is going to be a little bit of a factor in this race as well. So possibly, you could get stuck behind a little bit of traffic, which could make things a little bit easier for Tony. But likewise to him, he could get stuck behind traffic and then make it even harder.
Yeah, it's a great playing field leveler, really, is traffic in races like this. And it brings us back to the point that it's not a massive field, I suppose, but when you do come across a car on track that may be slowing you down, then it will be equally as frustrating. As Clyde White in there is ahead of Bogatyrev. He has pitted, and so have Bogatyrev and Boozin, but they've cleared Woodward. And this means then that these guys, actually, by pitting earlier, seems to have been the better strategy for them, because obviously Clyde was quite a bit ahead of these guys earlier, so he's been pulled back into this. And hopefully for Clyde, Tom, it's not going to put too much pressure on him and mean that he gets dragged into this battle. He'll just want a quiet race for now.
Yeah, he will. He'll just want open air, won't he? So I don't know whether he lets these 2 guys go. It might be worth, I don't know what the team are going to say about that, but it's the same in any motorsport, isn't it? You don't want to fight battles that you're not really a part of in the championship because it's just going to cost you time. It's going to cost you your tyres, and it'll also cost you fuel as well. As we see here, Buzin going for the little look on Bogotyrev coming into the last corner. They've got him up the inside. That was tight there, but they give each other plenty of room. So I'm interested to see how this one plays out. Buzin, I think, might have it done there. Yeah, it looks to be that he has, Chaz. So as they come into the first bend, who's your money on?
I think Bogotyrev's kept the momentum really nicely around the outside, actually, and if he's good enough on the brakes here and hugs it to that inside line, he might get it done, but it's a reversal of the roles here because Buzin's going to have the momentum around the outside, so they're still going to be side by side as they come into turn 2. Bogotyrev on the favoured inside line. Obviously for the right-hander, that means Buzin's going to be on the inside, and then Bogotyrev's going to be on the inside. So this is just the flowing nature of the track. Bogotyrev, all sorts of out of shape. Buzin does a great job, gets on the brakes, avoids it, but Buzin gets another good run out of there, and down towards the hairpin, Jordan. It's going to be more of the same.
Yeah, that was absolutely great racing by those two going through turns 3 and 4. That's the tightest section on the track, so those guys did a great job not to have any contact. And it looks like that Buzin's managed to go around the outside. It's going to be a drag going down into Cunningham. Is it going into Cunningham? I think Buzin's actually got this one now, but here comes Woodward. Look at the speed that he's got. Coming down into Cunningham. Shows the nose, just makes Bogotyrev a little bit squirmy mid-corner. It's one of those things, eh? When a car's behind you, you're not sure what they're doing. They show the nose. You just got to give them that little bit of room because you just don't know if they're there or not. And I think that's what Woodward tried to do there. Just get them a little bit unsettled on the exit and through mid-corner. Here they come through the fastest part of the section. Oh, this is a big move by Woodward going through here. They've managed no contact so far. That's awesome to see. Woodward's got it done, but he's locked up. I think Bogotyrev could have a good run on him here. It's going to go down to Sunset Bend. The drag is always in your favour when you're behind. So here we go. Bogotyrev up the inside. Is Woodward going to squeeze him in? Oh, that was so close to a little bit of contact. Great driving by these two, though.
And Klusterman just showing us that the damage might have been affected him before. He's just on the fastest lap of the race at 2 minutes 3.7. Gary Croft and Alex Mass are still out on track, and interestingly enough, Gary's not even pitted yet, and his last lap was at 2 minutes 8.2. So he's been overtaken by Brandon, who's doing much quicker lap times than him. I think he's just trying to make those tyres last longer, is Gary Croft, so he doesn't have to put as much fuel in to get him to the end of the race. It's working for him at the moment in the Ford Falcon. He's still third overall. Alex Mass still leading the way, but yeah, Klusterman really not hanging about now, Tom. He's showing that he's got the pace, but do you reckon he's going to get it done before the end of the race?
I don't think so. I think we've seen how good Brandon is at defending, but then again, Klusterman's very good at attacking, so it'll be a big shot for him to manage to catch Johnny Brandon, but we're only just over the halfway point in this race here. But I've got to say, that 2 minutes 03.7, that is a brilliant time. That is a stunner. So that tells you why he is one of the front runners in this series here, Chaz.
Yeah, he's done an absolute corker of a lap there. And I'm sure if anyone would have picked up the Nürburgring qualifying reference from Michael Schumacher there, we always like to slip those sorts of things in. It's that livery as well, it's quite menacing, I'm not going to lie. It looks great out on track tonight, and I'm sure if you're Gary Croft right now and you know that Tony Klusterman's behind the wheel and he's in a car like that, Jordan, you might just want to jump out of the way, really, wouldn't you?
Yeah, I think Gary, he'll be coming up to the time where he's going to have to pit, so I don't know if he'll be much of a hassle for Klusterman. I think if he stays out any bit longer, he's probably going to hurt himself more than he's going to gain, but he's doing a great job there to stay in third.
Yeah, he's just giving it everything at the moment, and he's really making it last, to be fair. I mean, according to the timing screen, he hasn't pitted anyway, but you can just see the difference in pace, really. It's a visual gap that's closing there. He did a 2 minutes 7 last time round, Klusterman 2:03.8, so you can really tell that he's not quite on the pace of Klusterman, but at the end of the day, we've been saying it, that Klusterman's one of the quickest guys. There is the view of that car. I mean, if that was in your rear view mirror, you'd just... I mean, I don't know about you, Tom, but I wouldn't want to be in front of that for too long. It is really intimidating.
It is really intimidating. I've got to say, that's probably my favourite camera angle of any in motorsport. It's just absolutely brilliant, especially when you see GT stuff like that as well. It's just fantastic. There goes Klusterman then round the outside. I mean, look at the drive that he got there. We have to say that Croft's aero won't be helping him at all. Croft gets a little bit earlier on the brakes than Kloosterman, and off Kloosterman goes. And he's now going to be hunting down Johnny Brandon. He's done everything he needed to do outside of the pit stops, and now he's got some clear air to really make some inroads on Johnny Brandon now.
We'll have to start remembering the gap as well. It's just about 4.5 seconds at the moment then to Johnny Brandon from Tony Kloosterman. We'll keep an eye on it there. As you can see on the left-hand side of the screen there, in what we call our timing tower, we've got the relative gap back from the leader to everyone. Obviously, a couple of guys a bit closer together. You can see Boozin and Woodward and Whiting and Bogatyrev. They're all still within that sort of battle. I mean, to be fair, Anthony Woodward and Bogatyrev are apparently just about a tenth of a second apart on track. Here they are, side by side into Cunningham. Boozin on the inside, but that's going to become the outside from the next corner. Woodward's just got the drive around there, Jordan. Oh, really out of shape. Woodward, fantastic car control, really snaking that thing around. I bet Boozin's laughing his head off in the back of that Holden. Well, I don't know why I moved in the back of it, in the front of that Holden, Jordan.
Yeah, that was a save, man. Oh, I've never seen someone get so out of shape like that through that section of the track and manage to pull it off. That was great driving. But these guys have been battling for the last few laps. After the pit stops, these guys have just been at each other. So their tyres are probably, as you can see, Woodward's struggling a little bit, I think, with the tyres. Just, battling, it takes a lot out of the life of the tyre. So the battle's going to carry on. But it's definitely been a very interesting one to watch.
Yeah, that's the thing with these cars. I mean, even if the racing, sometimes if it does get a bit sort of dull, if there's not a great amount going on, just watching someone try and wrestle one of these cars around a lap can be something in itself. There's such fantastic things to drive. You've got to really be patient with it, though, I suppose. It's just one of them. It's just you've got to know exactly when to put the throttle on and when to be careful on the brakes. And when you're in a racing situation, you do sort of you focus out at stuff like that. As we have a car coming out of the pits, that's Alex Maston. He's pitted from the lead and he's flung right into this battle once again then with Woodward and Boozin and Bogatyrev behind them. So this is just going to reignite the flames. And I don't know about you boys, but I'm really happy to see that these four are still together on track. This should give us entertainment to the end. As Boozin sideways once again there, Tom.
Yeah, he's having a fantastic race, isn't he, Boozin? What a great battle these guys are having, and it's great to see this on the iRacing service. And as we said earlier, you don't get this in official races very much. It's more of a league thing that we get from this. But I just want to make a little change of subject here. Kloosterman is gaining on Johnny Brandon. That last lap of his was about half a second faster than what Johnny Brandon put in. And with 6 laps to go, the gap's, about 3.8 seconds now? So it could come down to the wire, this.
Yeah, it's closing up a little bit then. He's really making inroads into it. But Johnny Brandon, though, I suppose, not really much you can do. You just got to pedal it round as hard as you can and just hope that nothing gets in your way, as I think he's just going past a lapped car there. But Johnny Brandon at the moment, actually, Jordan, is the biggest mover in the field. He started 11th, and he was behind all of these guys, actually, that obviously finished higher up in the first race. So he's probably done the best job, of course, in getting past them all.
Yeah, obviously with that little bit of damage Tony had at the start of the race, Johnny had quite the bit of advantage, I think, in terms of pace. And I think it was like the first lap, he'd already shifted up 8 positions, which was a huge amount of cars to pass in one lap. Obviously the incident that we had down at turn 3, which we've seen in race 1 as well, where everyone just kind of gets backed up a little bit, that could have played in his favour. I can't remember exactly where he started. He would have started 11th. But yeah, it's been a great drive by Johnny. Even if he can't hold on to the end, you can't deny the fact that he's passed a lot of cars and he deserves this win.
He certainly does. The gap now down to 3.5 seconds. So it's just about a second. You can see in the bottom right there, actually, similarly sort of reading our minds in terms of what we're going to be on about. But from laps 12 to 16, you can see the gap's come down from 5.6 to 3.5 seconds. So ideally, it may get close towards the end. I mean, it's going to take a pretty hefty difference in lap times for Kloosterman to actually get there at the end. But I'm sure Brandon will start to feel the pressure soon. He'll see that. And I mean, for anyone that doesn't know with iRacing, that you do get a little box in the bottom right. You can choose, obviously, what information it does show you while you are driving. And you do get what is known as a relative box. So it does show you live intervals between you and the cars around you. So Johnny may have his eyes on that. Either that or he'll want to try and ignore it, Tom. I know that when you're in a battle and it's a sort of a long race when you've got someone catching you up. It's not always what you want to see, that someone's actually getting closer to you, is it?
No, it's horrible. And speaking from personal experience, the pressure builds up. You get a little bit stressed. You know, the anxiety builds up as well, and that's when mistakes start coming in. So Johnny Brandon will be looking in his mirrors now and seeing Klosterman there, and thinking, "Hang on a minute, he is coming and he's coming fast." I mean, if we look at their lap times from the last lap, I think Tony Klosterman was a 203.8. and Johnny Brandon was a 204.6. So Klosterman really is making inroads on the back of Johnny Brandon now.
Yeah, and one thing as well that we do know is that when you do start to get closer and closer to a car, the closer you are, the more the gap comes down, because they can visually see you in the mirror, and they know that the pressure is building. A 203.9 by Klosterman last time, 204.4 by Brandon, so half a second almost pulled out by Klosterman there. Croft is in the pit lane currently then. He's obviously going to just start dropping down the order a little bit. He is the final car to pit in this race. Obviously Alex Mas held it out in the lead as much as he could, but to get nearly 18 laps out of a set of tyres, Jordan, it's got to be pretty strenuous on the car, really, overall. You've got to be fighting that around a lot by the time your stint comes to an end.
Definitely. He would have been struggling a lot with those tyres towards the end of that stint. He's done a great job, though, sitting in third for quite some time. But the other person that's moved up to third now is Nickel Foggy, the one that got spun on the start at lap 3.
It's just shown as well a decent pit strategy, and as you called it earlier, making that sort of decision to dive out of the way and get away from traffic has really worked for him. But he's not actually taken the repair to get that back end fixed either. So the fact that he's done it, and I mean, you can see there's no one around him. He's just having a bit of a lonely race. But at the end of the day, it's another podium position for him. He finished second in race 1, and I'm sure he'll be pleased that after an incident like that, he's managed to turn it around, Tom, and get back on the podium. Obviously, it's only provisional, of course. He's not finished there yet. He's still going to get it to the end.
Yeah, he has, hasn't he? And Nicole Foggy's a good friend of ours. So I think he's come so far in this race, and he really does deserve this podium from being, unfortunately, taken out in turn 3, like we said earlier, and then to make it all the way up with a damaged car. I mean, I don't know how much that is affecting the car itself. In terms of aero, it can't be very good in a straight line for it. So Nicole Foggy here, I've got to say, is my driver of the day.
Yeah, he's done a cracking job. He kept it consistent in race 1 as well, of course, when it all went downhill for his team in the background there. Alex Mas and Whiting, Woodward, Boozin as well. This battle's still going on. You've got the teammates with Bogatyrev as well in there. Boozin's still trying, as Johnny Brandon does his personal best of the race. He's actually 4/10 quicker than Klosterman last time round now, so that's interesting that he's going to start building that gap back up, which could really put pay to it. There's only 3 laps to go as we go on board with Samuel Boozin then. Really, really tight line through there. You can see him just applying the corrective lock before he's even got fully on the power there. And that just goes to show how much power these things have. I mean, we were saying before, they're about 650 brake horsepower, between 600 and 650 anyway. And when you've not got traction control, that's a frightening prospect. There's a bit of a lock up there from Woodward ahead of us then. But we'll watch how this lap goes for Boozin. You can see just how much you have to fight this car around every single corner. So careful on the brakes, careful with every down change as well. You can really unsettle the car with them, minding the curbs. And you just want to try and get on the throttle as early as you can and just get onto the back of the car in front of you, but you just need to be so patient. And another interesting little thing about this car, for anyone that's not driven it on iRacing yet, is that the Motec little dashboard that you get, which you can see on the right hand side there, is actually mounted on the wheel. So when you're at full lock like we were then with Boozin, you can't actually see the revs or what gear you're in if you're going around a corner. So you need to really pay attention to it while you're on a straight, and you can at least see it. And it's not really caused many issues for me over the times driving this car, Tom, but you can imagine that in certain scenarios you would want to at least know that, wouldn't you?
Yeah, you would do, to be honest. It took us some time for me personally to get used to, from coming from the GT world. I mean, I know we did a season in the Audi and the Ferrari GT3 and World GT, so yeah, but these are a completely different breed. I mean, the big Aussie brutes, as we know them as over here. So, but the ability that these guys have to be able to pedal these round for 22 laps, I mean, in real life, the amount of laps they're doing as well, and it must really just take the energy out of you. I mean, we haven't actually done anything competitively in these cars yet, and just from practicing, you just bathed in sweat after about 5 laps. As we see, we've gone round there. That is Whiting. Whiting is round in the NQR UK car. He's got it going again as he lights up the rears. fantastic shot there on Apex Racing TV. The camera's doing well there, but unfortunate for him, it just looks like he got on the power a bit too early there, Chaz.
Yeah, it seemed like he got on it a bit too early, as you say, and I think when he went to correct it and get on the brakes, as we'll see here, it just pivoted the front end round a little bit more. So here he goes then on the power, it gets away, and yeah, you can see the front end dip down as soon as he gets on the brakes. He manages to keep it out the wall though, and yeah, it was a fair enough save though, Jordan. He saved it from damaging the car anyway.
Yeah, that was a good job to keep it out of the wall there. I think one of the things that he could have tried was perhaps just lifting off a little bit, and might not have dived into towards the wall like it did. But anyway, that's a bit of a shame. It's easy to do, especially when you start to get towards the end of the race, you know, and obviously with the tyres the way they are and how much power you've got, it's an easy thing to do. One of the other things I was looking at though is Alex Mass is another big mover of this race. He's moved up 10 positions as well, same as Johnny Brandon. So he started 14th and he's up in 4th. So he's having a great race as well. Obviously that staying out like he did and leading for those few laps, he did a bit of an overcut on everyone, and that seemed to work out when the battle between Woodward and Boozin was going on. So he's had a great race, and it's great to see that he's moved up a lot as well.
Yeah, it's good as well compared to obviously his first race where he got damage early on and you could see it was affecting the car, but it's really proved to us tonight what he can do when the car is clean. He's just lapped Robert Lundgren as well at the moment. But we go on board with Boozin once again then, and he's chasing down club leader Woodward at the moment. Anthony Woodward in the NQR UK car. Once again, got to say, I'm a massive fan of the livery they've got on that car tonight. It looks absolutely spot on. The ECA racing car that we're on board with right now isn't a bad looking bit of kit either. It's nice to see their drivers have even got the helmets to match, which is always a nice little touch. You've got to get your branding spot on. Well, speaking of Brandon being spot on, Johnny and Klusman have done pretty much identical lap times there, only 0.05 of a second between them, so the gap not coming down much, it's 3.6 seconds. So with one lap to go after this one, Tom, you've got to think that Johnny might have it in the bag now.
Yeah, unless there's a big mistake from him. I think that's the only reason, the only way that Klusman's going to win it here, although he's had a fantastic race. From just having those few mistakes at the start and dropping back and a bit of damage, seems to come right back at him. But as soon as Brandon knew the pressure was on, he just turned the wick up to 10 and then off he went. So he's maintaining that gap now. We've got a fantastic fight here between Boozin and Woodward. Boozin in the club car, Boozin in the pro car and Woodward in the club car. But these guys are fighting hard here. So all together, guys, I think it's been an absolutely fantastic race here at Sebring.
Yeah, it really has. It's been feisty all night, and there are always drivers in these cars that you can just tell by the body language of them, Jordan, that they are just pushing that little bit harder and trying to get everything out of it, such as obviously Boozin and Mass as we've seen tonight. And it's always good to see that as well, because you do sort of, you grow fond of certain drivers over the course of even just one race meeting, don't you?
Yeah, that's it. Watching these cars and these drivers put these cars through turns 3, 4, 5, going over the curves. It's a really cool sight. I actually really enjoy watching those cars ride those curves through there, and even through the last section of the track when you're going through Fangio and going Bishop and 215 down to Le Mans. Through there, watching those cars just dart across the track and getting moved around by the drivers. Oh, it's just an awesome sight to see.
And these guys aren't giving up either. There's no sign of any of them letting off whatsoever. One lap to go then. And really wide there actually is Woodward. Boozin's going to try and capitalise on that. But Boozin's been very opportunistic this evening. They seem to have got clear of Bogatyrov quite a bit. Woodward really wide out of there actually. And surely now Samuel Boozin will give it a go down the long straight towards Sunset Bend. But Brandon now is on his final lap ahead of Klusman and Foggy. And yeah, pretty guaranteed now that he's going to get this done. It's been just a nice performance to see him bring it back after the issues in race 1.
Yeah, it has, hasn't it? It's just nice for him. I think he'll be happy when he gets back to the garage and speaks to the team, etc., that he's made great inroads in this race. Oh, we've got someone off and someone upside down. I'm not sure who that is. That looks to be, that's Lundgren. Robert Lundgren at Boosted Motorsport. What on earth happened there? He was on the straight.
Did he clip the wall, maybe?
I'm not sure. He came. Yeah, he did. He clipped the wall. That's a huge huge accident there. That is a that's a proper shaker, that is. So unfortunate for him. I mean, he wasn't having the best of races anyway, unfortunately for Robert. But that car is now a mess. And I think it's going to be time to retire that one, Chaz.
You'd better hope that he wasn't in VR for that one. Otherwise, you're going to want to put the headset down for about a week after that. But I've not even got words for how much that would have scared you. I would have probably thrown my desk across the other end of the room by the wheel. But he's trying to get it back though, so you can't say he's not determined. But yeah, real shame for it to go that way for Robert Lundgren there. As we see now, Jordan, it's Mr. Brandon who's going to come home and, well, he's just put the nail in the coffin really with the last few laps. He's just matched the pace of Klosterman and he's got it done.
Yeah, great drive by Johnny. He's done what he's had to do today to come back and get the win. Unfortunate into race 1, awesome into race 2. Great drive, passing 10 cars, coming through from 11th. Can't do it any better than that. And the winner for today's race is Johnny Brandon for XVR Sebring.
And Klosterman brings it home in second then for NQR North America. Really good recovery drive by Klosterman to get all that way back, but in the end it just wasn't enough to catch up with that man there, Johnny Brandon in the number 5 Ford Falcon. But Klosterman will be happy with the first and a second, and another guy that will be happy as well, of course, is this man, Nickel Foggy, giving it style out the final corner. Flamboyant as always, and the Scotsman finishes third overall. Great recovery drive from him as well. And Alex Mass, as you can see, very, very happy with fourth place, weaving down the straight. And Woodward and Boozin take it to the line. Woodward just getting there in the end. Fantastic defensive driving from him this evening. He's been in the thick of all of the fights that we've seen. Bogatyrov comes over the line behind them in the background, and well, that was just a nice and sort of calm few laps in comparison to, well, minus Lundgren's incident, of course, Tom. It was a sort of more calmer end to the evening, but what a race, well, what an evening of racing we've seen. It's been brilliant.
Yeah, we've had an amazing evening racing here, haven't we, on Apex Racing TV. It'll be nice, hopefully. With more that this gets broadcasted, more people will enter, hopefully, because I really do think this is a brilliant series. You know, you've got, especially in the midfield, I think the midfield has been the best part of this race, as we see a few of the guys doing a few donuts and burnouts. But the midfield, I think, has been the best part of this race. The fights that we've had going on in there have just been absolutely fantastic.
One of the likes of Bogatyrov, Alex Mass there, obviously showing his pleasure at the fact that he's got the fourth place, and he really pushed hard for it, Jordan. I mean, he was one of the guys that we saw that was very extravagant and going over the curbs hard tonight and just giving it everything. But that's what you've got to do, really. You've got to sometimes just risk it for the race pace.
Yeah, he's done a great job tonight, and especially with that damage that he got early on in the race and the overcut that he did. We didn't see anyone else, except for Gary Croft, try to do the overcut, and it's played out really well for him, so that's awesome to see.
It's nice that he got the results in the end. He's obviously very happy, and it is easy to do donuts and burnouts in these cars. I mean, one of my guilty pleasures in this thing is if you are coming out the pit lane, just dip the clutch, nail it in first, and just light up the rears, put temperature in them. And we now have the results for race 2, so Tom, if you'd like to do the honours, please, mate.
Yes, so your race winner, and well-deserved, Johnny Brandon there in the number 5 for XVR. Tony Klosterman in second, couldn't quite catch him, but he did make inroads to try and get him there. Nicole Foggy, a fantastic recovery drive, finishes third. Alex Mass in fourth, the guy you saw doing donuts just a short while ago. Anthony Woodward in fifth. Samuel Boozin and Nikolai Bogatyrov in sixth and seventh. A great battle from them right to the end. Clyde Whiting in eighth. Did work quite well to come back, actually, after his little incident. Peter Bingham in ninth. Gary Croft in 10th. Dominic Suri in 11th, Katie Taranto in 12th, Myra Harazki in 13th, Robert Lundgren, who had that unbelievable accident towards the end of the race, in 14th, Michael Frost in 15th, Sergei Glazkov in 16th, and Richard Warmingham finished in 17th.
Smashing stuff, thank you very much. And we've got a couple of drivers waiting to do an interview or two, and the first of which that we will get into the box tonight is race 1 winner and finishing second in race 2, Tony Klosterman. Tony, welcome to the booth.
How you doing, guys?
Very, very good. That was a really, really exciting race of, well, evening of racing. That's the second time I've got that phrase wrong, but really, really great stuff to watch tonight. And obviously a win for yourself in the first one that seemed to, well, be a bit of a breeze for the most part, but you had a real fight back in race 2 though. How did you feel about that? Because it was quite a messy start.
Yeah, it was. It looks like I touched Nickel Foggy there, and I apologize for that. It was very tight going into that first corner. I was behind Samuel Buzin, and I was carrying a little bit more speed, and unfortunately I clipped Nickel, and I apologize for that. But for the rest, I had an interesting moment at the end of the back straight. I'm sure you caught. My screen went blank, and I missed the braking point and almost went in the wall.
All right. Well, I don't think we did actually see that, but I can imagine it was very scary to suddenly have your screen come back and have that wall coming towards you at Sunset Bend. It's not the nicest of places when you can see it. Never mind when you can't see it, I imagine.
Yeah, it was a bit of a panic moment there, but fought back in the second half of the race and made a little bit of time on Johnny, I think about 3 seconds, but he had very good pace in both races, actually, and it was very close racing in the first race with him.
Yeah, we had a fantastic moment where the two of you were door banging towards the end of the lap, and certainly got our heart rates racing on that one. Just a note as well on the livery this evening with the homage to obviously World War II aircraft and big shark mouth on the front. We were saying that was absolutely fantastic to look at and very intimidating on the track. Actually, it seemed to work really well. Who did you get to do that?
Greg Carr, one of our other teammates who's away this weekend, did the paint, so he did a great job. And each one of the cars carried the name of a family member or someone that we knew that was in the war at one point in time or another. On my car, it was Zandvoort, which is for my grandfather, who unfortunately was in a Nazi concentration camp for a significant period of time, but he did make it out. And both my brother, my niece, and my nephew have served in the Canadian Armed Forces, so very proud of them and everyone that serves to protect their countries.
Fantastic stuff. Well, we thank them for their service as well, mate. It was an honour as well to see, obviously, the lap before qualifying, which was a beautiful touch. I mean, Tom Jacobs is in the booth tonight, is in the forces at the moment, and I'm sure that he'll appreciate that more than any of us will as well. But yeah, it's nice to see that touch, and I mean, we really appreciate it, and obviously we love being able to broadcast that for you as well. Before you go though, mate, is there anyone that you want to give a shout out to this evening?
On our teams, Never Quit Racing, Simability, who we carry as a main sponsor, and obviously you guys do a fantastic job on the broadcast. We're very happy about that. KSW Painting for sponsoring the series. They always come through, and we're very appreciative of that as well.
Thank you very much, Tony, and we wish you all the best of luck for next time out, and we'll hopefully speak to you then.
Thank you. Take care, guys.
Tony Clouston there, classy gentleman himself, the Canadian, fantastic racer as well, very aggressive on track, but as you can hear, such a gentleman in the booth as well. And we bring with us now as well our race 2 winner with a fantastic performance, and I will leave you in the capable hands of Mr. Tom Jacobs. We have Johnny Brandon with us.
Hi guys.
Hi Johnny, welcome to the commentary booth. A stunning drive from you in race 2. We had a great view of it up here in the booth. Was there any point towards the end where you thought Clouston was going to catch it?
Not really. I was trying. I didn't get any incursions there. You get bonus points in this series for no incursions, so I was just pacing myself and taking it easy, and making sure I kept all 4 wheels on the track, and put in a couple of quick laps towards the end when he got down to about 3 seconds, and I think I just did a couple of, I think I did a 3.9 and a 4.0, and then I thought, okay, 3 laps to go, don't be silly.
Yeah.
And just carried on and made sure I got the bonus points.
Oh, definitely.
But I needed that after the first race. I can't believe what I did in the first race.
Yeah, I was just about to ask you about that. So what actually happened from our screens? It just looked like you might have got it a little bit too early on the power and it went, or what was the story with it?
Yeah, I like the car loose. I like the front to do what it's told, and then I kind of steer, especially around this track. It seems to suit me for some reason, the way I drive it. I let the rear just step out a little bit and try and control that on the throttle. And it's not done it to me in practice at all. Not on that corner anyway. And it just stepped out as normal, but instead of just progressively sitting down, it just bit solid and spat me off the other way, like a pendulum effect. Absolutely no warning, nothing I could do. Out the blue, like I say, not done it before. So yeah, just completely caught me by surprise, and that was it. In the wall, blown engine. Was lucky to get round to the pits and get the fast repair, to be honest.
Yeah, it was good for you to carry on though. But looking forward, are you confident that you can take Tony Klusterman on in further rounds? Of course, you've got Foggy right behind you as well, who can always put the power down when he needs.
Yeah, there's plenty of quick guys in here, and it's but like you probably just saw there, it's really clean and respectful amongst everybody, and it's what makes the league great, really. So yeah, just keep doing your thing. I think it's the final round in 2 weeks' time, so and it'll be a triple header, so that'll be interesting, and still all to play for. I mean, if one person has a shocking race, I think there's a few people that can still win. So yeah, my heart was fluttering after race 1 for that very reason. So yeah, it doesn't take a lot to close it up, because the gap, the points difference between first, second, third is minimal. So yeah, if you have a big crash and lose a lot of positions, it can be quite punishing. So yeah.
Well, all the best of luck
for.
to you. All the best of luck to you in the final round. But before we let you go, is there anyone that you'd like to thank?
Just my teammates at XVR, Foggy. He's coming on leaps and bounds. He didn't like that track particularly with the car or the setup for whatever reason, but he's going to be rapid if he sticks around next season. I'm sure he'll be flying at brands. And sponsors of the series, I think it's KSW Paints. I'm not sure who's sponsoring this round. And Simodal, helping us out a little bit, being on the car. Yeah. Cat,
Brilliant.
my mum, my brother, my dad. Thanks everyone that knows me. Yeah.
Brilliant,
Nice
brilliant
one,
stuff, Johnny. All right, well, there's your race 2 winner there. Didn't have the best race 1, but your race 2 winner there, Johnny Brandon.
Cracking stuff as always. Johnny always around to crack the banter. We do have time for just one more interview this evening, and we bring into the booth Mr. Anthony Woodward. Anthony, welcome. How did you feel tonight went overall?
Just very good fun. Really tired. That was the hardest I've had to work. That turn 17 and the braking and acceleration out of it. Every lap is just so difficult.
Yeah, it certainly looked like a lot of you guys were squirreling around a lot tonight. We saw actually, to bring it up, I mean, I'm sure it's probably not your highlight of the evening, but there was a moment with Warmingham in race 1 where I think he lost it on the brakes and clipped you around, but it was a nice little sort of show of respect for him to slow down for you in that one actually and give the place back.
Oh, very much so. I didn't expect it, because I didn't, at that point, I had no clue what happened. I knew I was struggling to stop, trying to make a move happen after he did a little error, and I was feeling uncomfortable with where I was. So when we hit, I just assumed it was my fault, to be honest, and then I saw him waiting for me, so I didn't know he'd lost the rear, you know.
Yeah, it's just one of those moments, I suppose. We do get some odd incidents in motorsport. I mean, you see a lot of things that are purely coincidental, but it really flung the car around when he made contact. And I can imagine it wasn't the most comfortable of situations to be in. But speaking of situations to be in, though, you were in a lot of good fights tonight. I mean, with the likes of, say, Alex Mass and Bogger Tyrev and Boozin. And were you? I can't imagine you were particularly calm through those situations. I imagine it was quite manic, was it?
I'm soaked. It was. I just clicked through the replay, the longer race there, the second race, and just clicking through it random, and every single bit I go to, there's cars all around me. It was a really fun race.
Yeah, we were just saying as well that because of the respectful racing and how close it all is between everyone, you do get more exciting racing, and it proves that you don't have to have a massive field for it either. You don't have to have like 50 odd cars on track, and it's just nice that obviously we do get to broadcast this, but in itself, I think probably one of the challenges of this series is maybe just getting the car around a lap, is it?
Yeah, I do a lot of practice so I can be where I am in these races, because these boys are so talented, and you know, it really is hard work, but that's the challenge I think we all love, is just simply driving the cars. Like I say, turn 17, coming into there absolutely flat out, and to rotate on the brakes or to go straight on the brakes is so easy, and then if you do manage to make it down to the apex, you know, getting on the power is just there's a mission every single lap, you know.
We've got a great onboard shot of you actually right now on the broadcast, having a bit of an overlap around said corner with Warmingham side by side, and you can just see the corrective lock that you were putting on everywhere. And I mean, me and Tom were saying earlier on that we've driven this car a little bit, and it really can catch you out. So yeah, it's obviously worth putting in the practice, and it shows in your results. I mean, you won the club race in race 2. I can't remember whether, I think you won it in race 1 actually, didn't you? You won it from Warmingham, so 2 club series wins tonight for you. Obviously, sure you're going to be happy with that. But are you feeling confident ahead of next time? Are you sort of ready for it?
I've always said I think Richard will take this club championship because of his pace, but this helps today again. On the incident, back to the incident, I think you saw that rotation of his car just because of that curb on the left. If you get your 2 wheels on that curb, you try and brake and turn off that, it just seems to pitch the car. So I think that's what happened to him there. It's just a shame because we were really battling. And then that's what makes it so gracious as well, that he let me past after that, because it's so tight with the championship. Yeah, so just really, this is a great series, isn't it?
Oh, it really is. I mean, we've been saying all night just how good the racing is, and it's well polished as well. I mean, just tiny details like obviously the windscreen banners, for example, for the club drivers and the KSW drivers, just little things like that, and just the small details that we see from race to race are just what makes it such a great series. So we're glad you enjoy it as well, and I mean, we love broadcasting it. So before we let you go tonight, Anthony, is there anyone you want to give a quick shout out to?
As always, you boys, can't wait to watch this one. So I was listening to it until my phone battery died, but yeah, I can't wait to watch even Tony and Johnny going at it. But I have to say to my beautiful fiancée Natalie, I forgot her last time I did an interview, so I committed the ultimate crime there. She lets me do this and covers for me, looking after our daughter while I'm not there. And hello to my daughter Evie May, and thanks so much to the team, Tony, Clyde, Pete and everyone. Chris is out of action at the moment, which is a shame. But yeah, sponsors, all that business. Thanks, guys.
No problem at all, and we hope you obviously enjoyed the broadcast. We did you justice as well, mate.
Yeah, I might not even be on it. You're probably looking elsewhere.
Oh, we got a lot of you on it. Don't worry. Don't worry.
Oh, good. Thanks.
Anyway, pleasure as always. Thank you. Anthony Woodward there. 3 fantastic gentlemen in the booth tonight with us. So to round off the night, Jordan, I'll start with you. Amazing racing with not a very big field. I mean, are you pleased with what you've seen tonight? I imagine you would be.
Yeah, the racing was awesome. It's quite eye-opening for me because I haven't seen any other V8 series apart from what we've seen here in Australia. So it's good to see that the V8 supercars appreciated all over the world. And yeah, the racing tonight just shows how good the car is, and even this track alone, you know, the track and the car layout puts on some great racing, and really enjoyed tonight. So thanks.
And Tom, coming to you as well. It's of course both of you there tonight. Your first broadcast with Apex, and it's been a hell of a race to cover. Are you looking forward to possibly doing this one again?
Oh yeah, definitely. I think we'll be here again in 2 weeks' time. No, it's just been fantastic racing from the guys, and you know, as a couple of guys said, they're so wet through now. You know, they all need a shower, and from just sitting in front of a desk in front of a screen, that just goes to show, you know, that sim racing itself, it's an arduous thing to do, and these guys pedal them about all day, every day, pretty much. Most evenings, some of these guys will be doing a series. So yeah, from me, I just want to say thank to the guys back at home watching. Just, you know, thank you for enjoying the series as much as we do.
Cracking stuff. Well, that's all we've got time for this evening. We hope you've enjoyed the broadcast, and I mean, we've enjoyed it here as well. And just like Tom mentioned there, the drivers as well. I mean, I don't know about them, but I'm sweating from watching it. It's been an absolute joy to have you boys in the box with me, and it's been a fantastic job as always from Samuli Kumo on the cameras. So from me, Chaz Draycott, Jordan McDonald, Samuli Kumo and Tom Jacobs, we wish you a very good night. Thank you.